At 9 o'clock the next morning, Lu Ming pushed open the glass door of Jingxin law firm. The round-faced girl at the front desk wasn't there. An unfinished cup of soy milk sat on the desk, and the computer screen was lit up, displaying a template for a divorce agreement. The door to Lawyer Fong's office was open. Today, she wore a cream-colored shirt with the cuffs rolled up once. Her hair wasn't tied up, falling loosely over her shoulders. 4 or 5 documents were spread across her desk. Her laptop had 2 windows open. One was a legal database, and the other was a government Gazette webpage. "Sit," Lawyer Fong Yu said, looking up briefly and pointing to the chair opposite her. Lu Ming sat down. Lawyer Fong Yu closed her laptop lid and rested her interlaced hands on the documents. "How was the drinking session last night? You heard about it? There are no secrets in Yunmeng County," Lawyer Fong Yu said. "The Heaven No. 1 private room at Shengshi Wangchao, hosted by Hu Kuei, with director by Keeping Company. When I went out for breakfast this morning, even the lady selling fried dough sticks was talking about it." Lu Ming didn't ask which version she had heard. Information dissemination in a small county was more efficient than any internet product, and like secondhand info, the distortion doubled every time it passed through someone's mouth. "Did Director Bai relent?" Lawyer Fong Yu asked. "He said he'd go back and have Qianji Gang take another look." Take another look means not looking at all. Lawyer Fong Yu pulled an A4 sheet from her desk and handed it to him. "Last night, I printed out the full text of that supplementary notice and analyzed its scope clause by clause. The conclusion is clear. Wang Jiafu's internal renovation is not within the scope of control. Qianji Gang is deliberately broadening the interpretation. I know that. You sent it to me yesterday. Right, but knowing is one thing. How to use it is another." Lawyer Fong Yu stood up, walked to the bookcase, and pulled a blue-covered document compilation from the bottom shelf. She flipped to a page, folded a corner, and placed it before Lu Ming. "Look at this clause." Lu Ming looked down. It was an internal work regulation issued by the Municipal Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau, titled Work Opinions on Regulating the Filing and Approval Process for Construction Projects. Lawyer Fong Yu's index finger pointed at the 7th clause. Article 7, Paragraph 3, regarding filing materials submitted by an applicant, the receiving department shall issue a written acceptance opinion within 5 working days. Failure to issue one within the time limit shall be deemed as default acceptance. Lu Ming's eyelid twitched. "When did you submit your materials?" Lawyer Fong Yu asked. "The morning of the day before yesterday. From then until now, it's been 2 days. The construction management section hasn't issued any written acceptance opinion or notice for corrections to you." Lawyer Fong Yu didn't speak fast, but every word landed precisely. In other words, they haven't formally accepted it, nor have they formally returned it. They only told you verbally that an environmental assessment is needed. Verbal replies don't count. Lu Ming leaned back in his chair, his fingers unconsciously tapping the armrest twice. "You mean once the 5 working days are up, it's automatically deemed accepted?" Legally, that's a claim we can make. But in practice, automatic acceptance clauses are rarely used by parties involved because most people don't know they exist, and even if they do, they don't dare use them for a hard confrontation. When local bosses hit a wall at the government gates, their first instinct is to pull strings or hand out red envelopes. No one thinks of using procedure to pressure them. Lawyer Fong Yu walked back to her desk, sat down, and closed the compilation. "But you're different. Your materials are complete, your procedures are legal, and you've submitted everything you should. After 5 working days, I'll help you send a lawyer's letter to the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau, formally citing Article 7, Paragraph 3, and demanding confirmation that the filing has taken effect. At the same time, I'll CC the Municipal Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau and the County Government Office." Lu Ming looked at her. "CC the city level?" "Yes. This is called borrowing upward strength." The corner of Lawyer Fong Yu's mouth twitched slightly. "The people in the county dare to block you because they think this matter only circulates within the county. Once the people at the city level see it, the nature of the situation changes. It's no longer a private game between you and Qianji Gang, but but a question of the administrative efficiency of the Housing and Urban-Rural Development Bureau. Director Bai will weigh the consequences. Lu Ming folded the A4 paper and put it in his pocket. When will the lawyer's letter be sent? On the day the 5 working days expire, not a minute late. Lawyer Fong Yu's tone had no emotional fluctuation. The law is most powerful when you follow the rules more strictly than your opponent. Lu Ming stood up. Lawyer Fong, you said yesterday you had an idea. Was it this? This is the first step. Lawyer Fong Yu pulled another piece of paper from her drawer. It was handwritten, with neat script and clearly listed points. Step 2, I suggest you take a trip to the city. To see whom? The Municipal Business Environment Complaint Hotline. Lawyer Fong, you pushed the paper over. This hotline was established last year during the city's special action to optimize the business environment. It goes straight to the Municipal Commission for Discipline Inspection and Supervision. You don't need to complain about a specific person. You just need to report a problem. You are a young entrepreneur returning to your hometown. You've invested tens of millions in the county, and your normal renovation filing is being delayed without cause. You hope the city can coordinate and move it forward. Isn't that just snitching? It's not snitching. It's reporting the situation. Lawyer Fong, you corrected the wording. Phrasing is very important. You don't mention Hu Kuei. You don't mention Qianji Gang. You don't mention any names. You only talk about the facts, the process, and the timeline. The people in the city will find out for themselves who is blocking things in the middle. Lu Ming looked at the lines on the paper and was silent for a moment. Lawyer Fong Yu's plan was compliant and legal at every step, yet every step precisely stepped on the opponent's weakest point. The lawyer's letter was frontal pressure, the CC to the city was a flank maneuver, and the business environment hotline was a blade descending from above. After these 3 strikes, how else could Qianji Gang delay? Lawyer Fong. Yes. You worked at that firm in Zhengzhou for 3 years. Why did you come back? Last time he asked this, Lawyer Fong Yu hadn't answered. This time she paused for a few seconds, looking down to align the scattered documents on her desk. Because my father got sick, she said, her voice flat. Late-stage lung cancer. He was in the county hospital for 8 months. I quit my job in Zhengzhou to come back and take care of him. After he passed, my mother was alone in the county, so I didn't leave again. The office was quiet for 2 or 3 seconds. And then I opened this firm. Lawyer Fong, you put her fountain pen back into the pen holder. It's been 8 years. There aren't many cases, but it's enough to support me and my mother. She looked up at Lu Ming. Mr. Lu, why are you asking this? Getting to know my partner. Lawyer Fong, you said no more and looked down to open her laptop. I'll write the draft of the lawyer's letter this afternoon and send it for your review then. Good. Lu Ming left the law firm and stood on Zhongxin Road. The sunlight was bright and white. The billboard in front of the print shop rattled in the wind. The owner of the tobacco and liquor wholesale shop had moved a lounge chair to the entrance and was squinting in the sun. He took out his phone, scrolled to Zhou Yan's chat box, and sent a voice message. Section Chief Zhou, is that piece of land in Shilapu still listed? Zhou Yan replied instantly. It's still listed. Why? Does Mr. Lu have another idea? Do. Lu Ming started the Maybach. But this time, it's not for a supermarket. Then what are you building? Lu Ming's fingers tapped the steering wheel twice. A building materials market. Hu Kuei's roots were in building materials, and since his own future large-scale construction projects would naturally require them, he would inevitably have to deal with Hu Kuei. Colluding with him was, of course, out of the question. Rather than being controlled by others, it was better to take drastic measures and cut him off at the source. Moreover, it was a fact that the county's business environment had been poor for years, and Hu Kuei's meddling was a significant factor in that. Therefore, whether for his own interests or to restore order to Yunmeng County, this building materials center had to be built. Soon, Zhou Yan called back. Mr. Lu, you're not pulling my leg, are you? I'm serious, Lu Ming said. A building materials center requires commercial land, so we have to wait for the procedures. Besides, the biggest building materials dealer in the county right now is Hu Kuei. I know. Lu Ming interrupted Zhou Yan. I can afford to wait. Get on it as soon as possible. If a security deposit is needed, let me know in time. All right, then there's no problem. I'll report this to the leadership right away. Wait for my good news, Mr. Liu. Lu Ming hung up the phone. When he returned to Xinqing building, Lu Ming noticed several new faces in the company. They were all young people in their mid-20s. Seeing him return, Shunli immediately walked over. Mr. Liu, these are all newly hired employees. This is our general manager, Mr. Lu Ming. The young people greeted him one after another. Hello, Mr. Liu. Lu Ming smiled. Where are you all from? We are all locals. Lu Ming nodded. Good. Work hard, everyone. If there are any problems, feel free to talk to me anytime. Then he turned to Shunli and said, Manager Shun, come to my office for a moment. Shunli followed him into the office and poured him a glass of water. What is it, Mr. Liu? Wang Jiafu's filing is stuck. They claim it failed the environmental assessment. If it still hasn't passed in 3 days, call the Municipal Business Environment Supervision Office. State our case and coordinate the wording with Lawyer Fong. Understood, Mr. Liu. Also, if possible, don't limit recruitment to locals. Cast a wide net and offer the highest salaries. We need to attract a broad range of talent. All right. 3 days later, 4th floor of the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau, Construction Management Section. Qian Jigang was sitting behind his desk, holding an enamel mug and blowing on his tea leaves. A period drama was playing on his computer screen. The door was pushed open. Lawyer Fong Yu walked in, wearing a black professional suit and carrying a transparent folder. Qian Jigang looked up and pressed the pause button. Lawyer Fong? Is something the matter? Lawyer Fong Yu walked to the desk, took out 2 documents from the folder, and placed them in front of Qian Jigang. Section Chief Qian, this is a lawyer's letter from Yunming Investment Company, Limited regarding the renovation project of Wang Jiafu Shopping Plaza. Qian Jigang glanced at the papers but didn't move. Lawyer Fong, what are you doing? Trying to scare me with the law? Like I said, they're municipal documents. Without an environmental assessment report, the filing simply won't pass. Lawyer Fong Yu ignored his attitude, her tone steady. According to Article 7, Paragraph 3 of the Municipal Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau's opinions on standardizing the filing and approval process for construction projects, the receiving department must issue a written acceptance opinion within 5 working days after the applicant submits materials. If it is not issued within the time limit, it is deemed as accepted by default. Lawyer Fong Yu looked at Qian Jigang. Today is the 6th working day, and the construction management section has not issued any written rejection or notice for correction. Legally speaking, the renovation filing for Wang Jiafu has already taken effect. Qian Jigang sneered and picked up his enamel mug. Lawyer Fong, it's useless to play word games with me. If I say it hasn't taken effect, it hasn't. I've received your lawyer's letter. You can go now. Lawyer Fong Yu nodded. The lawyer's letter is in triplicate. One for you. She extended her index finger and tapped the header of the document on the desk. The other 2 copies were sent yesterday afternoon via express mail service to the Supervision Office of the Municipal Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau and the Discipline Inspection Group of the Municipal Commission for Discipline Inspection stationed at the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau. Qian Jigang's hand, holding the teacup, froze mid-air. He lowered his head and looked at the CC section in the upper right corner of the lawyer's letter. The names of those 2 units were clearly printed there. The water in the enamel mug sloshed, spilling onto the desk. Lawyer Fong Yu, are you really going this far? Qian Jigang's voice cracked. Lawyer Fong Yu picked up the empty folder and turned toward the door. Section Chief Qian, following the rules is better for everyone. The door closed. Qian Jigang didn't bother to wipe the tea stains off the desk. His fingertips brushed against the lawyer's letter, and as he grabbed the document, he even knocked over the pen holder next to it. He didn't dare delay any longer and ran all the way to the director's office. 2nd floor of Xinqing building. Shunli sat at her workstation with the script Lawyer Fong had sent last night in front of her. She pressed the speakerphone and dialed the Municipal Business Environment Complaint Hotline. The phone rang 3 times before being picked up. Hello, this is the Municipal Business Environment Complaint and Reporting Center. Hello. Shun Li's voice was clear and professional. I am the HR and Administrative Manager of Yunming Investment Company, Limited. On behalf of the company, I am filing a real name report regarding the administrative inaction of the Yunming County Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau in the filing and approval of a construction project. Please explain the situation in detail. Our company is an enterprise founded by entrepreneurs returning to their hometown. Recently, we invested 20 million yuan to acquire Wanjiafu Shopping Plaza in Yunming County and plan to invest another 10 million yuan for interior renovations. 6 days ago, we submitted complete filing materials to the Construction Management section of the County Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau. Shunli looked at the script and continued. The staff of the Construction Management section verbally requested an environmental assessment report. However, according to the supplementary notice jointly issued by the Municipal Bureau of Ecology and Environment and the Municipal Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau, interior renovation projects are not included in this requirement. Our repeated communications have been fruitless. The Construction Management section neither processes the filing nor issues a written rejection, causing our multi-million yuan investment project to be forced into a standstill, with losses of tens of thousands of yuan every day. The sound of typing on a keyboard was clearly audible on the other end of the line. The situation has been recorded. Please leave your contact information and the company's unified social credit code. We will conduct an investigation and supervision within 3 working days. Thank you. Shunli hung up the phone. Lu Ming walked out of the general manager's office, holding a cup of coffee. Done with the call? Done. Shunli closed her notebook. The entire call was recorded. Lawyer Fong should have delivered the lawyer's letter by now as well. Lu Ming took a sip of coffee. Notify the demolition team to enter the site promptly at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Director's Office of the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau. Director Bai sat behind his large desk, his face ashen. The red landline on the desk had just been hung up. The call had been personally made by the director of the Municipal Business Environment Office. The tone had been severe, directly naming the Yunming County Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau for undermining the overall situation of investment promotion and being suspected of abusing power to create obstacles for personal gain. The city had placed the matter under supervision, demanding a resolution by the end of the workday tomorrow. Qianji Gang stood opposite the desk, head bowed, not daring to make sound. There are municipal documents? You used municipal documents to obstruct a return investment enterprise that the city is specifically focused on. Director Bai slammed his hand on the desk. Director Bai was Hu Kuei's side. Are you working for Hu Kuei or for the people? Director Bai interrupted him. Qianji Gang shut his mouth. The treasury is tight right now. This young Liu clearly has major capital behind him. You need to distinguish things clearly and not be limited by past favors, understood? Upon hearing this, Qianji Gang nodded heavily. Go. Director Bai pointed to the door. Go process Wang Jiafu's filing procedures right now. Stamp it, sign it, and deliver it personally. Qianji Gang nodded repeatedly and turned to run out. Come back. Director Bai called him back. Qianji Gang stopped in his tracks. One more thing. Give Hu Kuei a heads up. Tell him the city is watching and to be careful about his influence. A white Volkswagen with a government vehicle sticker pulled into the plaza. The door pushed open, and Qianji Gang stepped out quickly. He wasn't carrying his signature enamel mug today. Instead, he tightly gripped a craft paper file envelope. He pushed open the building's glass doors. A round-faced girl at the front desk stood up. Hello, who are you looking for? Qianji Gang forced a stiff smile. I'm looking for President Liu. I'm Qianji Gang from the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau's Construction Management section. The girl picked up the landline, dialed a number, spoke a few words in a low voice, and hung up. President Liu is in his second-floor office. You can go right up. Qianji Gang offered a word of thanks and hurried up the stairs. The door to the general manager's office on the second floor was open. Lu Ming was sitting behind his desk, verifying recruitment matters with Shunli. Qianji Gang reached the door and tapped twice on the frame. President Liu, are you busy? Lu Ming looked up, his gaze falling on Qianji Gang's face. Section Chief Qian, a rare guest. Have a seat. Qian Gang walked to the desk and handed over the craft paper envelope with both hands. President Liu, the renovation filing procedures for Wan Jiafu have been approved by the Bureau. Director Bai specifically instructed that Yunming Investment is a key investment enterprise for the county, so the procedures should be handled as a special case. I brought them over to you immediately. Lu Ming didn't take the envelope. He glanced at Shunli. Shunli stepped forward, took the envelope, pulled out the documents inside for a quick scan, and nodded to Lu Ming. The construction project filing form, stamped with the bright red seal of the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau, had been processed perfectly. Thank you for making the trip personally, Section Chief Qian. Lu Ming leaned back in his chair. I thought this document would have to wait until the city's environmental experts finished their assessment. The muscles in Qian Gang's face twitched, and he gave a dry laugh. President Liu must be joking. My previous work wasn't meticulous enough, and I didn't fully grasp the spirit of the city's directives. Director Bai has already criticized me. If Yunming Investment has any engineering matters in the county in the future, feel free to contact me anytime. I will definitely cooperate fully. Fair enough. Lu Ming picked up the water cup on his desk. The company is in its early stages with 1,000 things to do, so I won't keep Section Chief Qian for tea. Qian Gang nodded repeatedly. You're busy, you're busy. I'll be heading back then. He turned and walked out of the office, his pace downstairs even faster than when he had come up. It wasn't until he was sitting in his car that he let out a long sigh of relief and pulled out a few tissues to wipe the sweat from his forehead. Inside the second-floor office, Shunli put the filing form into a folder. A lawyer's letter plus the business environment hotline. This combination punch was brilliant, Shunli evaluated. People like Qian Gang are most afraid of the higher-ups getting serious. Rules are rules. Lu Ming set down his cup. Notify the demolition team to enter the site immediately. Start breaking down the walls this afternoon. Understood. Half an hour later, at Wanjiafa Shopping Plaza, over a dozen workers wearing safety helmets entered the main doors, carrying sledgehammers and crowbars. With the first strike of sledgehammer against the aluminum frame of a glass partition on the second floor, a dull impact sound echoed through the empty mall. Wanjiafu, which had opened with such fanfare 5 years ago, was now being deconstructed. In the old city area, at the office of the general manager of Kuei Building Materials, Hu Kuei was clearly a bit unhappy. Damn it! He kicked over the leather swivel chair next to him. Qian Gang had just called, recounting the pressure from the city, Director Bai's anger, and the fact that he had personally delivered the permit. Qian Gang had made his stance clear on the phone. From now on, the construction management section would absolutely not block anything regarding Wanjiafu. He told Hu Kuei to handle his own business and not to drag his brothers down with him. Hu Kuei lit a cigarette and took 2 deep drags, forcing down the anger in his heart. He had run rampant in this county for so many years by relying on his network of connections. Now, that network had been forcibly torn open by a 25-year-old using the most legal of means. Mr. Hu. The office door was pushed open, and a crew-cut assistant walked in. He looked at the chair on the floor, but didn't dare to pick it up. Speak. Just got word that work has already started at Wanjiafu. The demolition team has entered the site. Hu Kuei blew out a smoke ring. Then let them demolish it. There's one more thing. The assistant lowered his voice. Word from the Land Bureau is that the guy named Liu is asking about that plot of land in Shilapu. I heard he wants to build a building materials center there. Hu Kuei's eyes instantly widened. He wants to build a building materials center too? If Lu Ming just didn't buy his building materials, he would at most earn a bit less profit. But if Lu Ming built his own building materials center, given that kid's habit of spending money without blinking, he was looking to completely flip the table on him. The land in Shilapu is for industrial use. To convert it to commercial use, he'd have to go through the whole process again. It won't happen for at least 6 months to a year. The assistant nodded thoughtfully. But if it does go through after a year or so, they'll still be coming for our business, right? Hu Kuei laughed out of anger. I fucking know that. Xinqing Building. Lawyer Fong Yu pushed open the door and walked into Lu Ming's office. The transfer procedures are all complete. Wang Jiafu is now officially under the name of Yunmeng Investment. Lawyer Fong Yu placed 2 red real estate ownership certificates on the desk. Lu Ming picked up the certificates, took a look, and handed them to Lu Yuan beside him. Keep them safe and record them. Lawyer Fong Yu pulled out a chair and sat down. Also, you handled the matter with the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau beautifully. However, Hu Kuei won't let this go. He won't dare to act openly, but he'll definitely block your building material supply in the shadows. I didn't plan on using his materials anyway, Lu Ming said. The transportation and time costs of bringing in goods from out of town are very high. It will slow down the progress of Wang Jiafu. There's no other way, even if it's high. Lu Ming looked at Lawyer Fong Yu. Then you'll lose a lot of money. I never thought about making money. Lawyer Fong Yu's eyes flickered slightly. Is a businessman who doesn't make money still a businessman? As they were speaking, Lu Ming's phone rang. It was Zhou Yan. President Lu, I've reported the matter regarding the Shilipa land to the director. Zhou Yan's voice was filled with excitement. The director takes this very seriously. The county is currently lacking large projects like this that can drive industrial upgrading. The director said he wants to meet with you tomorrow morning to discuss the preliminary planning and investment scale of the Building Materials Center. Good. Tomorrow morning at 10, I'll go to the bureau. Hanging up the phone, Lu Ming looked at Lawyer Fong Yu. The first step has been taken. Lawyer Fong Yu stood up. Then I'll go back and prepare the materials. The office became quiet again. Lu Ming walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, watching the sky outside gradually darken. The county town streetlights lit up one by one, and the traffic on the streets became dense. His phone vibrated again. This time it was a text message. The sender was Chun Sitian. Lu Ming, I know you don't want to talk to me, but this afternoon at the yoga studio, I heard a secret about Hu Kuei. It concerns you. If you want to know, meet me at 9 tonight at the Half Sugar Coffee Shop. An ink-black Maybach S680 glided silently around the corner, coming to a steady halt in front of the Half Sugar Coffee Shop. The headlights cut out. Sitting by the window, Chun Si-Tian's hand trembled as she held her coffee cup. She looked at that Maybach, her heart churning with waves of emotion. She admitted she had been a bit too loud before. When they went on that blind date, this man had been riding a 2-wheeled electric scooter. But tonight at Shengshi Wangchao, he was the guest of honor for the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau chief and a building materials tycoon. Chun Si-Tian took a deep breath, fished a powder compact from her bag, quickly touched up the sides of her nose twice, and pulled her neckline down another half-inch. The sound of the door opening rang out. Lu Ming walked in, scanned the room, and headed straight for Chun Si-Tian. President Lu, Chun Si-Tian stood up, her voice 3 degrees softer than usual. Lu Ming pulled out a chair and sat down without ordering anything, his hands folded on the table. Speak. What's the secret? No pleasantries, no testing the waters. He even skipped the polite, what would you like to drink? The bellyful of prepared words Chun Si-Tian had already got stuck in her throat. She had originally wanted to complain about her hardships first, explaining that she only went to Shengshi Wangchao as a part-time job to earn extra cash, and even thought about shedding a few tears to gain sympathy. But Lu Ming didn't give her the chance at all. Lu Ming, about yesterday afternoon, I was blind to your greatness. Chun Si-Tian bit her lip and decided to get straight to the point. I'm a very realistic person. Don't laugh at me. You're making such a big stir in the county. Hu Kuei definitely won't let you off. Get to the point. Chun Si-Tian glanced out the window and lowered her voice. This afternoon, Hu Kuei's wife came to our yoga studio for a private lesson. Knowing Hu Kuei has a business rivalry with you, I paid a bit more attention to her. She was chatting with the manager in the lounge and asked me to bring some water. After I delivered it, I didn't leave. I stayed by the door, eavesdropping. Lu Ming leaned back in his chair, looking at her. What did you hear? Hu Kuei has been in a terrible mood these past few days and hasn't been giving her any face. His wife thinks Hu Kuei is seeing someone else. Family scandals shouldn't be aired in public. His wife actually talks about this stuff to outsiders. Huh. Chun Si-Tian smiled, her laugh carrying a hint of contempt. You probably don't know what kind of person his wife is, do you? What kind? Hu Kuei was born in the 80s. but his wife was born after 2000. She's his third wife. She used to be a car model in Zhengzhou. Hu Kuei went to great lengths to marry her. In the last 2 years, Hu Kuei's business hasn't been doing well, so he's been spending less on her. She's always complaining to us, even saying... At this point, Chun Sitian paused, her eyes darting around. Saying what? Lu Ming asked. Even saying that Hu Kuei isn't good down there. Chun Sitian pointed toward Lu Ming's crotch. Lu Ming sighed, wrapping his coat tightly around himself. This is your intel? Gossip? There's more, Chun Sitian continued. His wife also mentioned that Hu Kuei took a phone call this afternoon and got very angry. He knows you're planning to buy that land in Shilapu to build a building materials market. The news had leaked. Lu Ming wasn't surprised. The county was only so big, and when Zhou Yin went to report it, it would inevitably pass through other people's hands. And then, Lu Ming asked, Hu Kuei is trying to scrape together money. Chun Sitian stared into Lu Ming's eyes. His wife said Hu Kuei is going to the Land Bureau first thing tomorrow morning. He wants to intercept that plot of land in Shilapu. Even if he doesn't develop it himself, he absolutely won't let you get your hands on it. Intercepting him. Hu Kuei's reaction was within reason. If Lu Ming really built a building materials market, it would be equivalent to digging up the very roots of Kueishing building materials. Even if Hu Kuei had to sell everything he owned, he would have to keep that land in his hands. Lu Ming tapped his fingers on the table twice. Is that all? Isn't that enough? Chun Sitian leaned forward urgently, her neckline revealing a large expanse of fair skin. Lu Ming, Hu Kuei is deeply rooted in this county. If he really competes with you for the land, even if you have a lot of money, you might not be able to get it smoothly. I'm telling you such important news, you. Thanks for the intel, Lu Ming interrupted her. What do you want? Chun Sitian froze for a moment, and then her eyes lit up. I'm not greedy. I heard your company is hiring. I want to join Yunming Investment. Admin, HR, or I could even be your private assistant. Lu Ming stood up, looking down at her from his height. The intel is good. Lu Ming's tone was flat. But Yunming Investment doesn't need someone like you. What do you mean someone like me? Chun Sitian raised her voice, then instantly lowered it again. That was really my first time working there. A girlfriend dragged me along to fill the numbers. Hu Kuei said that day he wanted to find some hostesses who didn't look too worldly to entertain distinguished guests. So that's why I went. Oh, I see. Having said that, Lu Ming turned and walked toward the door. Chun Sitian stood up abruptly, her face flushing bright red. Lu Ming, what do you mean by this? I kindly came to give you a tip-off, and you're pulling up your pants and not recognizing me. Lu Ming stopped in his tracks and glanced back at her. First, I never took my pants off. His tone was cold and hard. Second, you only gave me that tip because you think I'm richer than Hu Kuei. Don't make social climbing sound so righteous. Chun Sitian puffed out her cheeks, huffing several times through her nose. Seeing how cold-hearted Lu Ming was, she was truly fuming. In the entire Yunming County, no young man had ever dared to speak to her like that. But then she thought, was there any young man in Yunming County richer than Lu Ming? At that thought, she hurriedly stood up and called out to him, Wait a second. Lu Ming looked back. Chun Sitian walked up quickly and grabbed Lu Ming's sleeve with both hands. Lu Ming, I really like you. I've liked you since the first day I saw you. It's just that you said we weren't a match first, and I couldn't save face, so I said I didn't like you either. Lu Ming shook off her hand. What you like is my Maybach. After Lu Ming got into the car, he thought about it and transferred 5,000 yuan to Chun Sitian. Regardless of anything else, she had gone to the trouble for him. However, as soon as the money was transferred, Chun Sitian sent it back immediately with a note, I don't want your money. Lu Ming didn't reply. A moment later, another message came from Chun Sitian. Lu Ming, I'm not giving up. By the time he returned to Xinxing Building, it was already 10 p.m. Lu Ming didn't go home. He went straight to his second-floor office. He dialed Lawyer Fong Yu's number. Are you asleep? Still looking over case files. Lawyer Fong Yu's voice held a hint of fatigue. What's wrong? Hu Kuei knows about the Shilpa matter. He's going to the Land Bureau tomorrow to intercept it. Lu Ming gave a brief summary of the intel Chen Sitian had provided. The land in Shilapu is zoned for industrial use and has been listed for 2 years without interest. If someone bids, the Land Bureau will obviously be happy to see it happen, lawyer Fang Yu analyzed. His capital chain is tight. He likely wants to pay a deposit to stall the land or maliciously drive up the price to drain your cash flow. He can't afford to outdrain me, Lu Ming said. The thing Lu Ming feared least was a cash battle. But what if he uses his connections to turn the land into a targeted listing? Lawyer Fang Yu reminded him, setting certain bidding conditions that only Kuaishing building materials can meet. For example, requiring the enterprise to have over 10 years of experience in the local building materials industry. You wouldn't even be qualified to sign up. Lu Ming's gaze sharpened. This was indeed a common tactic used in small counties. That's a possibility. Let's go there together tomorrow and see which way the wind is blowing. Today, she had changed into a pair of black-rimmed glasses and was carrying that old briefcase, which was bulging, clearly stuffed with a lot of materials. Lawyer Fang Yu opened a briefcase and pulled out 2 documents. Last night, I checked the original text of the listing announcement for the Shilapu plot. There are only 3 bidding conditions. A legal entity with registered capital of no less than 10 million. No record of major violations of laws or regulations, and timely payment of the deposit in full. She pushed the documents in front of Lu Ming. Yinmeng Investment meets all 3 of these conditions. But if Hu Kuei goes to the Land Bureau today and requests additional conditions, such as the bidder must have been engaged in the building materials industry in this county for more than 5 years, or must possess provincial level or higher building materials distribution qualifications, then I'll be excluded, Lu Ming cut in. Exactly. Lawyer Fang Yu pushed up her glasses. The key issue is that once a listing announcement is published, any modification to the bidding conditions requires a supplementary announcement and a recalculation of the registration period. According to regulations, the reasons for modification must be sufficient and reasonable and cannot obviously aim to exclude specific bidders. However, in operations at the county level, she didn't finish her sentence. In the county, regulations are regulations, but operations are operations. It only takes one phone call to change an announcement, and a reason can be made up on the spot. Lu Ming glanced at his watch. Let's go to the Land Bureau. Wait a moment. Lawyer Fang Yu pulled another piece of paper from her bag. I wrote this at 4 o'clock this morning. Lu Ming took it and looked. It was a bidding application. Applicant: Yunming Investment Company, Ltd. Bidding plot: YM 2024 G017. Deposit payment method: same-day bank transfer. The official seal of Yunming Investment was already stamped at the bottom. Lu Ming looked up at Lawyer Fang Yu. Lawyer Fang Yu remained expressionless. Strike first to gain the upper hand. Currently, there are no additional restrictions in the bidding conditions of the listing announcement. We'll go now to pay the deposit and submit the application. As long as we get the acceptance receipt. If he tries to change the conditions later, we'll have a legal basis to claim the principle of protection of trust. Lu Ming folded the application and put it in his inner pocket. Let's go. 9 o'clock. The Maybach parked in the parking lot in front of the Natural Resources Bureau building. When Lu Ming got out of the car, he scanned the parking lot. No white Land Rover. Lawyer Fang Yu followed behind, her briefcase tucked under her arm. In the first-floor lobby, Zhou Yin was already waiting at the elevator. Seeing Lu Ming and Lawyer Fang Yu arrive together, his eyes lit up. Mr. Lu, Lawyer Fang this way. He led them to the 3rd floor, bypassing the conference room and turning directly into the corridor leading to the director's office. The director is inside. He just finished the morning meeting. Zhou Yin lowered his voice. I already reported the situation yesterday, and the director takes it very seriously. He knocked twice on the door. Guomin. They pushed the door open and entered. The director's office wasn't large. An old-fashioned desk took up a third of the space, piled with documents and newspapers. On the wall hung a map of Yunming County's administrative divisions, next to a schematic of the county's overall land use plan. The director, surnamed Ma, was in his early 50s, tall and thin, wearing rimless glasses. He looked like a middle school principal. He stood up to shake hands with Lu Ming and nodded to Lawyer Fang Yu. Xiao Lu, I heard about your investment plan from Zhou Yan. Director Ma motioned for the three to sit. The county is very interested in the building materials city project. That Shilapu plot has been listed for 2 years without any takers. I'm more than happy to have you take it over. Director Ma, I've come today to formally submit the bidding application. Lu Ming took out the application and placed it on the desk. Director Ma picked up the application, his finger tapping lightly on the paper, without immediately stating his position. Xiao Lu, I see your sincerity. In principle, the county welcomes the building materials city project. He changed the subject, his tone becoming meaningful. However, although the Shilapu plot has been listed for 2 years, quite a few people have their eyes on it. As for the county's business environment, there are some historical issues. Just then, the landline on the desk rang. Director Ma picked it up, listened for a moment, and his expression darkened. Tell him to wait in the reception room, downstairs for now. Hanging up, he looked at Lu Ming and tapped his finger on another document on the desk, hidden under a newspaper. Speak of the devil. Hu Kuei from Kueisheng is already downstairs. Half an hour ago, he had someone deliver a document on behalf of several established building materials merchants in the county, suggesting some industry standards for the bidding qualifications of this plot. And now, the man himself has come for an answer. Lawyer Fang Yu immediately interjected. Director Ma, the bidding conditions in the listing announcement are publicly released and have legal effect. Temporarily adding exclusionary clauses during the announcement period is not in accordance with procedure. Lawyer Fang is right. That's how it is procedurally. Director Ma nodded approvingly, then sighed. But as you know, in the county, things aren't always decided entirely by procedure. After thinking for a long time, he picked up a pen and signed the words accepted for processing on Lu Ming's application. Xiao Lu, the county welcomes all compliant investment. He handed the application to Zhou Yan, his gaze deep. I've approved this entry ticket, but the business world is like a battlefield. Who ultimately gets this plot depends on market laws and your own strength. The Bureau is only responsible for setting the stage. As for who plays the leading role, that's between your companies. Zhou Yan took it with both hands. Thank you, Director Ma. Lu Ming nodded in thanks. The three left the director's office. As they passed the corner of the stairs, Lu Ming glanced down. Hu Kuei was walking out of the land use section office on the first floor, his face grim, followed by a middle-aged man in glasses who was whispering something to him. Because of the distance, Hu Kuei didn't notice the glance from the third-floor corridor. Lu Ming and Hu Kuei ran into each other in the lobby. Mr. Lu, Hu Kuei spoke. Mr. Hu, Lu Ming nodded, not stopping as he walked straight toward the main entrance. Lawyer Fang Yu followed behind. When she passed Hu Kuei, the distance between them was less than a meter. Hu Kuei stared at their backs as they walked out the glass doors. The sound of the Maybach's engine came from the parking lot, low and powerful. Hu Kuei turned around and walked straight toward Director Ma's office. The middle-aged man in glasses leaned in and asked in a low voice, Mr. Hu, are we still going to pay the deposit? Hu Kuei said each word deliberately. Pay it. For 0.8 million, not a penny less. Hu Kuei stopped and turned around, saying, Also, talk to the people in Urban Management Bureau and have them stir up some trouble. Trouble? Damn it. All these years in Yunmeng County, I've spent so much money. It's time they did something for me. But didn't Director Bai tell us to keep a low profile before? The middle-aged man asked. Damn it, keep a low profile? My roots are being dug up, and you want to stay quiet? Do as I say. 2 in the afternoon. Lu Ming returned to Xinxing Building. He had just settled into his office and was about to go over the next batch of interviewees with Shunli. Before he even had a chance to take a sip of water from the desk, Shunli's phone suddenly rang urgently. She answered the call, and after listening to a few sentences, her expression turned grim. Mr. Lu, something happened at Wanjiafu. Old Zhang from the construction team called. The Urban Management Brigade has sealed off the site, saying they received a real-name report from the public about noise nuisance and have ordered a work stoppage. How many of them came? Lu Ming asked. Shunli took down the phone and pressed the speakerphone button. Old Zhang's gruff voice poured out 5. They drove an enforcement vehicle. 3 in uniform, and 2 assistants. The leader's surname is Fong. He says he's from the 2nd Squadron of the Urban Management Law Enforcement Brigade. After they arrived, they took photos first and then put up seals. I said we have the filing procedures from the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau, but they didn't even look. They said they received a real name report and that we must stop work to cooperate with the investigation. Where do they put the seals? The main entrance on the 1st floor. What about the workers? They're all squatting outside. They weren't allowed in. Wait there. I'll be there right away. Don't get into a conflict. Hanging up the phone, Lu Ming sent a message to lawyer Fong Yu. Urban Management Bureau sealed the Wanji office site on the grounds of noise complaints. Real name report, work stopped for investigation. Lawyer Fong Yu's reply arrived 20 seconds later. Urban Management Bureau has no right to seal and stop legal construction that has already obtained a Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau filing. Noise issues fall under the jurisdiction of the Environmental Protection Department. Urban Management Bureau can only intervene if the construction time violates the city appearance management regulations. Confirm whether the construction time is within the specified range. Lu Ming replied. Started at 9 a.m., finished at 6 p.m. No overtime. Lawyer Fong Yu. Then that's an abuse of power. Go to the scene first. Don't argue with them, and record the whole process. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Lu Ming put away his phone, went downstairs, and got into his car. The Maybach set off from Xinqing Building, turned onto Zhongxin Road, and reached Wanjiafu in 7 minutes. In the open space in front of the mall's main entrance, a white Urban Management Bureau enforcement vehicle with blue lettering was parked horizontally. Its rear faced the road, parked carelessly, occupying half the sidewalk. The rolling shutter door of the main entrance on the 1st floor was halfway down, with 2 red seals pasted on it in a cross pattern, still damp and not yet fully dry. 12 workers were squatting on the curb, their hard hats placed by their feet. Some were smoking, while others were looking down at their phones. Old Zhang, the construction team leader, stood in the middle of the road, covered in sweat, gesturing toward a middle-aged man in uniform. Lu Ming parked the car across the street and got out, but he didn't rush over. He first took out his phone, turned on the video recording, and slowly panned across the scene from left to right. The SEALs, enforcement vehicle, workers, and uniformed personnel were all captured in the frame. Then he walked over. As soon as old Zhang saw him, he hurried over. President Liu is here. You talk to them. They won't listen to anything I say. Captain Feng, the leader, was in his early 40s with dark skin and high cheekbones. A walkie-talkie hung around his neck, and an enforcement recorder was clipped to his belt. He glanced at Lu Ming, then at the Maybach across the street. Are you the person in charge? Lu Ming, the legal representative of Yunming Investment Company, Limited. Lu Ming stood still, maintaining a distance of 2 steps from him. Captain Feng, what is the basis for stopping the work? Captain Feng pulled a piece of paper from the folder, tucked under his arm. A real name report. Nearby residents have reported that construction noise is seriously affecting their normal lives. Based on the relevant provisions of the regulations on the management of urban appearance and environmental sanitation, you are ordered to stop work immediately and cooperate with the investigation. Lu Ming didn't reach out to take the paper. Instead, he took a photo of it with his phone. Captain Feng, the renovation of Wanjiafa Shopping Plaza has already obtained construction filing permission from the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau. President Liu, the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau's filing is their business. I've received a report from the public. If there's a report, we have to investigate. That's the procedure. Captain Feng, you can investigate, but sealing and stopping work requires a written enforcement decision document stamped with the official seal of the Urban Management Bureau, specifying the legal basis and the channels for relief. What document did you use to paste those seals? Captain Feng's expression stiffened. Damn, in all his years on the job, he'd always been the one in charge wherever he went. This was the first time someone had asked him for a document. We'll provide the document later. If I tell you to stop work, you stop work. What? Are you trying to resist the law? Without a document, the seals are invalid. Lu Ming's tone remained steady, neither high nor low. Captain Feng closed the folder, tucked it under his arm, and took half a step back. President Liu, I advise you to cooperate. If the investigation shows no problems, we'll naturally unseal it. If you insist on continuing construction, you'll have to bear the consequences yourself. Captain Feng, let me confirm once more. Lu Ming held up his phone. The recording had never stopped. Does your enforcement action today have a formal enforcement document? Captain Feng stared at the phone in his hand, the muscles in his temples twitching. Are you recording? Yes. You're actually recording. Give it to me. Citizens have the right to supervise and record administrative enforcement actions. These words weren't spoken by Lu Ming. They were spoken by lawyer Fang Yu. She had arrived at some point, standing 2 meters behind Lu Ming, wearing a black suit skirt and black-rimmed glasses, holding her old briefcase. Captain Feng, lawyer Fang Yu stepped forward, pulled a business card from her bag, and handed it over. Lawyer Fang Yu, from Zhengxin Law Firm. I am the legal counsel for Yunming Investment. Captain Feng took the card and glanced at it. Lawyer Fang Yu continued. There are 3 problems with your enforcement procedure. First, the Urban Management Bureau Department has no direct jurisdiction over construction noise. Jurisdiction lies with the Bureau of Ecology and Environment. Second, implementing administrative compulsory measures requires issuing a written decision document and serving it to the party involved, which you haven't done. Third, pasting seals is a seizure and detention measure subject to Article 22 of the Administrative Compulsory Law, which requires approval from the head of the administrative organ. May I ask, did your Urban Management Bureau Director approve this? 3 questions, each one hitting the sharp edge of the procedure. Captain Feng's face darkened a shade. After 4 or 5 seconds of silence, he took out his walkie-talkie, walked over to the enforcement vehicle, turned his back to everyone, and pressed the talk button. His voice kept very low. 2 minutes later, he walked back. That's it for today. Captain Feng's tone softened slightly. The seals won't be removed yet. I'll go back and report to the Bureau and wait for formal notice. The seals must be removed now. Lawyer Fang Yu's tone left no room for negotiation. Seals without legal documentation are themselves an illegal act. If you don't remove them voluntarily, I will complain to the Urban Management Bureau Enforcement Supervision Hotline within 10 minutes and simultaneously apply for administrative reconsideration to the county court. Captain Feng's Adam's apple bobbed. He looked back at the 2 assistants and tilted his chin toward the seals. Tear them off. The 2 assistants walked to the rolling shutter door and tore off the 2 red seals, the paper shredding into pieces and falling to the ground. Captain Feng pulled open the door of the enforcement vehicle. President Liu, I'll go back and report today's events truthfully. If there are any further issues, go through the proper channels. The car door closed, the engine started, and the white enforcement vehicle made a U-turn and drove out of the open space in front of Wanjiafu. The workers stood up from the curb and looked at each other. Some had already started moving their tools back. Old Zhang brushed the dust off his pant legs and walked over. President Liu, continue working? Continue. Lawyer Fang Yu tucked her briefcase back under her arm and stood beside Lu Ming. This is just an appetizer. Lawyer Fang Yu pushed up her glasses, her tone slightly heavy. I know, Lu Ming sneered. Hu Kuei is getting desperate. Of course he's desperate, but he won't stop here. Now that Urban Management Bureau has hit a wall, he'll find ways to harass you through environmental protection, fire safety, and market supervision. Lawyer Fang Yu turned to look at Lu Ming, her expression grave. His goal isn't to crush you all at once, but to use a dull knife to slowly cut your meat, dragging out your construction schedule and draining your funds. Let him try. Lawyer Fang Yu glanced at him, said nothing, and turned to walk toward her car. Lu Ming stood where he was, watching Lawyer Fang Yu's car drive out of the parking lot. This Hu Kuei really is like a dogskin plaster. The muffled sound of crowbars prying aluminum alloy frames came from the construction site again, once, and then again. The phone vibrated again. This time, it was an unsaved number, and the caller ID showed the location as the provincial capital, Zhengzhou. Lu Ming picked up. Is this President Lu Ming? The other person's voice was young and efficient, with a clear professional tone. This is he. Hello, President Liu. I am a reporter from the Hunan Daily Converged Media Center. My surname is Lin, and I'm Lin Shi. We are doing a special report on youth returning home to start businesses, and the Municipal Business Environment Office recommended your case to us. Would it be convenient for you to accept an interview in the near future? Reporter Lin, what is the specific focus of the interview? Lin Shi, on the other end of the line, was clearly well prepared. It mainly revolves around the practices and difficulties of young entrepreneurs returning home in the county economy. You have completed multiple large-scale asset acquisitions in Yunmeng County in a short period, which is very prominent among entrepreneurs of your age in the province. The materials provided by the Municipal Business Environment Office mentioned that you encountered some resistance during the reporting and approval process, which you eventually resolved through legal channels. This process itself has significant news value. Recommended by the Municipal Business Environment Office. Luming processed this information in his head. His original intention for having Shun Li call the complaint hotline was to pressure the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau. He hadn't expected the city to not only investigate, but also report him as a positive example to higher authorities. I can do that, Lu Ming said. You set the time. Is tomorrow morning convenient? I'll set out from Zhengzhou and arrive in Yunmeng County around 10 o'clock. Fine. Contact me when you arrive. After hanging up, Lu Ming sent word of this to the four-person work group. Shun Li was the first to reply. The provincial newspaper is coming for an interview? That's a good thing. Positive exposure is equivalent to free advertising. Hu Kuei will have to weigh the risk of public opinion before trying anything in the future. Lu Yuan followed up with an emoji of Shiba Inu giving a thumbs up. Lawyer Fong Yu was the last to chime in, with only one sentence. During the interview, only state the facts. Do not mention Hu Kuei's name and do not express personal emotions. Lu Ming replied with a received. He placed his phone on the passenger seat, started the Maybach, and left the Wanjiafa construction site. The sound of electric hammers resumed at the site. Through the rearview mirror, workers could be seen moving in and out, carrying waste materials. Two small blue trucks were parked at the side gate, their beds piled with old aluminum alloy profiles and broken gypsum boards that had been torn down. Everything was on the right track. The next morning, a gray Buick with a UA license plate turned off the main road of the new city district and into the plaza of Xinqing Building. Two people got out of the car. The one in front was a female reporter, 27 or 28 years old, with short hair, wearing a navy blue windbreaker. She had a Hunan Daily Press card pinned to her chest and a Canon DSLR slung over her shoulder. Following behind was a male cameraman wearing a baseball cap and carrying a tripod. Zhou Xiaoyan stood up from the front desk and led the two of them to the second floor. Lu Ming's office had already been tidied up. Yesterday, Shun Li had specifically ordered someone to clean the windows. A new set of white porcelain tea gear was laid out on the coffee table, and the pot hose in the corner had been replaced with a vibrant money tree. Hello, President Liu, Lin Shi said, extending her hand. Lin Shi, from the Hunan Daily Converged Media Center. Lu Ming shook hands with her. The two of them sat down. President Liu, I'll start with a simple question. You are 25 years old and had a stable job in Shanghai. Why did you choose to return to Yunmeng County? Health reasons, plus I've always wanted to do something of my own. Why choose to return to a county town instead of going to Zhengzhou or other second-tier cities? Lu Ming thought for a moment. Because this is where I grew up. When I was in Shanghai, every time I came back for the new year, I could feel the county town shrinking. There are fewer and fewer young people, more and more shops are closing, and those walking the streets are mostly the elderly and children. I felt that rather than adding flowers to a bouquet in a big city, it's better to provide charcoal in the snow for my hometown. So you acquired Wanjiafu's shopping plaza? Yes. My plan is to transform it into the first true commercial complex in Yunmeng County. The quality will be on par with Pangdonglai, while the prices will align with the consumption levels of the county. Lin Shi quickly jotted down a few notes in her notebook. Quality on par with Pangdonglai. That would require a significant capital investment. Yes, Lu Ming nodded. We have the determination, and of course, it wouldn't be possible without the support of relevant government departments. Facing a reporter's interview, Lu Ming knew what he was doing. The government must appear in a positive light in the media. However, as a reporter, she naturally had her own considerations. I did some homework before the interview and learned that you encountered some obstacles during the reporting phase. Are you comfortable talking about that? Lu Ming's gaze was calm. Communication costs. There were some deviations in the process, which were later resolved through communication via formal channels. The city's business environment office responded very quickly, and the county ultimately handled it as a special case. He didn't mention Qian Jigang's name, didn't mention Hu Kuwei, and didn't mention the shutdown by the urban management. He didn't vent any emotion. But she was a reporter for the provincial newspaper. She understood how much information was packed into the word deviations. At the same time, she could tell that Lu Ming clearly didn't want to delve deeper into this topic, so she shifted her angle. President Lu, one question might be a bit sensitive. She closed her notebook and leaned forward slightly. What do you think is the biggest difficulty for private enterprises in a county town like Yiming? Lu Ming was silent for 3 seconds. It's not capital, and it's not policy. It's the transparency of the rules, he said. When rules are transparent, enterprises can focus on their work. When rules are opaque, people will use information asymmetry to set up roadblocks and seek rent. She looked at him and nodded. Are you saying that many rules in the county are opaque, and there are situations of extortion and bribery? Not necessarily, Lu Ming denied. What I mean is that some people maliciously exploit loopholes in the rules. Of course, this doesn't affect our overall direction. We must allow for problems to occur rather than denying them. This is a test of our enterprise's ability to correct course. The interview lasted 40 minutes. She never managed to dig out any explosive points from Lu Ming. She then suggested taking some footage of the construction site at Wanjiafu, so Lu Ming arranged for Shunli to take her there. After seeing off the reporter, Lu Ming returned to his office. There was a message from Zhou Yin on his phone, sent 40 minutes ago. President Lu, something has come up. Is it convenient for you to take a call? Lu Ming dialed the number. Zhou Yin picked up, his voice kept very low. President Lu, at the bureau meeting this morning, we discussed the Shilipa plot. Hu Kuei's bidding application has also been submitted. The security deposit of 4.8 million has already been received. As expected. But there's a bit of a problem. Zhou Yin took a breath. During the meeting, someone proposed modifying the bidding conditions. They suggested adding an industrial entry requirement to ensure the feasibility of the building materials city project. What requirement? Zhou Yan's voice grew even lower, almost whispering into the microphone. The bidder must own building material storage facilities within Yunmeng County of no less than 5,000 square meters. President Lu, the situation in the county is complicated. Zhou Yan sighed. Director Ma is the top leader, but at the bureau meeting, the other 2 deputy directors both agreed with this proposal. Their reasoning is very high-sounding, saying that because the Shilipu plot is large, it must be handed over to a local enterprise with physical support to prevent shell companies from grabbing and speculating on land. If Director Ma tries to forcibly suppress it, it would easily give people cause for gossip. Zhou Yin was absolutely right. The political ecology of a county town is very different from that of a first-tier city. Here, in many cases, the top leader does not have absolute say. Especially in recent years, with the economic downturn and the difficulty of generating revenue. Whoever can maintain the maximum interest transfer carries the most weight. Clearly, those 2 deputy directors have close interest ties with Hu Kuei. It has always been thus throughout history. Thank you, Section Chief Zhou. The call ended. Lu Ming tossed his phone onto the desk. Lawyer Feng Yu sat opposite him, holding a stack of Wang Jiafu's project progress reports. She looked up, her gaze passing through her black-rimmed glasses. Hu Kuei made a move. Lawyer Feng Yu asked. The Land Bureau plans to add bidding conditions, requiring bidders to have over 5,000 square meters of their own building materials storage in Yunmeng County. Lu Ming took a sip of his tea, which had gone cold. A precision strike. Lawyer Feng Yu put down the documents, took the nearby laptop, and typed quickly on the keyboard. a typical characteristic of a county town's political ecology. Lawyer Fong Yu looked at the screen. The top leader is responsible for steering, but the advancement of specific affairs requires the cooperation of the leadership team. Hu Kuei has operated in Yunmeng County for 20 years, and his interest transfer network has long since penetrated every level. The person proposing this condition is ostensibly protecting local industry, but in reality, they're welding the door shut for Hu Kuei. Is it legal? Lu Ming asked. Procedurally, it's impeccable. Lawyer Fong Yu pulled up a regulatory document. Regulations on the granting of state-owned construction land use rights through tendering, auction, and listing states that the grantor can set reasonable bidding conditions based on the actual situation of the plot. 5,000 square meters of storage is considered a reasonable industrial access restriction for a project planned as a building materials city. Even if we sue, the court will support the administrative agency's discretionary power. Hu Kuei's idea to block him with 5,000 square meters of physical storage was sound. A normal startup investment company could never conjure up a 5,000 square meter warehouse in a single day. But Hu Kuei had miscalculated one thing. Lu Ming was not a normal investment company. Lawyer Fong. Lu Ming sat up straight. How many building materials enterprises in Yunmeng County currently meet this condition? Lawyer Fong Yu hit the enter key, and the Enterprise Credit Information Publicity System page popped up on the screen. Filter conditions, registered in Yunmeng County, industry classification, building materials wholesale and retail, asset scale includes over 5,000 square meters of storage. Lawyer Fong Yu's gaze swept across the screen. Besides Hu Kuei's Kueisheng Building Materials, there are 3 others. One is a state-owned material transfer station that doesn't participate in market operations. The remaining 2 are private enterprises. One is Yuanda Building Materials, and the other is Chongqing Wood Industry. What is the situation with these 2? The boss of Yuanda Building Materials is Hu Kuei's sworn brother. Excluded immediately. Lawyer Fong Yu opened another file. Chongqing Wood Industry. The boss is named Luo Chongqing, and 10 years ago, he was the largest timber supplier in Yunmeng County. Later, Hu Kuei grew powerful and squeezed Chongqing Wood Industry to the margins through price wars and channel blockades. Currently, this company is entangled in lawsuits, with 2 overdue bank loans totaling $8 million. The factory site covers 12,000 square meters, with 8,000 square meters of standardized storage. The factory buildings and land are currently on the verge of pre-litigation preservation by the bank. 8,000 square meters. Lu Ming stood up and grabbed his coat from the back of the chair. That's enough. Lawyer Fong Yu closed her laptop and stood up as well. You're going to acquire Chongqing Wood Industry? Hu Kuei wants 5,000 square meters of storage, so I'll buy 1 to show him. Lu Ming put on his coat. Lu Yuan, bring the official seal and financial credentials. Let's go downstairs. The door of the adjacent finance office opened, and Lu Yuan walked out carrying a black handbag, her movements brisk. The 3 of them went downstairs and got into the Maybach. The vehicle started, drove out of the new city district, and headed toward the East Suburb Industrial Park. Yunmeng County's East Suburb Industrial Park was a product of 10 years ago. The road surface was covered with a network of cracks pressed into it by heavy trucks. The Maybach stopped in front of a rusty iron gate. A sign reading Chongqing Wood Industry Company Limited hung over the gate, its lettering peeling off. The gate wasn't tightly closed, and the security booth was empty. Lu Ming pushed open the car door and got out. The factory grounds were overgrown with weeds. Several large color steel tile warehouses were connected together, their exterior walls covered in dust. Piles of timber, blackened by wind and sun, were stacked in the open space. 3 workers in worn-out overalls were squatting in a sheltered spot, smoking and playing cards. Seeing a black luxury car drive in, they all stopped and looked on warily. "Who are you looking for?" An older worker stood up and asked. "I'm looking for Luo Chongqing, President Luo," Lu Ming said. "President Luo is in the 2nd floor office." The worker pointed to the 2-story red brick building behind them. "Are you from the bank or the court?" Lu Ming didn't answer, leading Lawyer Fong Yu and Lu Yuan straight toward the red brick building. The office door at the end of the second-floor corridor was slightly ajar. Lu Ming pushed the door open and entered. The office was filled with smoke. A man in his 50s sat in a large executive chair, his hair graying and eyes deep-set. The desk was piled with collection notices and court summonses, and the ashtray was a small mountain of cigarette butts. Hearing the door open, Luo Chongqing looked up. "Didn't I say I'd give an answer next Friday? Pressuring me again?" Luo Chongqing's voice was hoarse, filled with deep exhaustion. "I'm not here to collect a debt." Lu Ming walked to the desk, pulled out a chair, and sat down. "I'm here to pay your debts for you." Luo Chongqing froze. He sized up Lu Ming from head to toe. Then his gaze swept over Lawyer Fong Yu and Lu Yuan behind him. "Who are you?" "Yunming Investment, Lu Ming." Lu Ming stated his name. Luo Chongqing's eye twitched. The name Yunming Investment had been spreading widely in the county's business circles these past few days. Buying the building, acquiring Wan Jiafu, going head-to-head with Hu Kei. Every single thing was eye-catching enough. Why is President Lu looking for someone like me who is on the verge of bankruptcy? Luo Chongqing stubbed out his cigarette. Acquiring Chongqing Wood Industry. Without any preamble, Lu Ming went straight to the point. "Including this land and the 8,000 square meters of storage, I will take over everything." Luo Chongqing sat up straight abruptly. After thinking for a moment, he leaned back in his chair again. "You want to cut Hu Kuei off at the roots? You're overthinking it." Lu Ming's tone was flat. "I'm doing my own business." Lu Ming turned to glance at Lawyer Fong Yu. Lawyer Fong Yu stepped forward, took a blank equity transfer agreement and an asset merger letter of intent from her briefcase, and spread them out on the ash-covered desk. "President Luo." Lawyer Fong Yu adjusted her glasses. "Chongqing Wood Industry currently owes the Industrial and Commercial Bank $5 million, the local Rural Commercial Bank $3 million, and suppliers $2.4 million. These are all on record. Your capital chain has completely broken, and soon the banks will apply to the court for compulsory execution. By then, your factory buildings and land will be auctioned off at low prices, and you will be saddled with endless personal joint liability debts." Luo Chongqing lit a cigarette and spoke slowly. "Well said. But since you all know this is a mess, why come and get involved?" He was testing them. As an old fox who had drifted in the county's business sea for half a lifetime, he knew all too well what such a suddenly appearing savior meant. The more urgent the other party was, the more he had to appear indifferent. This was the last bargaining chip he could use to raise the price. Lu Ming smiled slightly at his forced look of composure. "President Luo, there's no need to play hard to get with me." Lu Ming leaned forward, ruthlessly exposing his thoughts. "You think because I've taken an interest in your factory, you can hike up the price? You've misunderstood one thing. I'm buying your factory because it happens to meet my needs. If you don't sell, I can naturally buy from somewhere else. But if you don't sell to me, you'll become a blacklisted debtor tomorrow." He brewed a pot of Tiguanyin in his study and reviewed the entire situation from start to finish. The more he thought about it, the more reassured he felt. 5,000 square meters of cell-phone building material storage. This condition was something he had weighed repeatedly. It wasn't too high or too low. It hit Lu Ming's Achilles heel perfectly. If it were too high, people would easily question it as targeted exclusion. If it were too low, that kid might actually be able to scrape it together. 5,000 square meters was just the right size, a threshold that seemed reasonable, but in reality, only I can satisfy. In the entire Yunming County, besides Kaohsiung Building Materials, who else held a 5,000 square meter warehouse in their hands? Yuanda Building Materials belonged to his brother. All it took was a quick word. Chongqing Wood Industry? When Hu Kuei thought of that name, the corners of his mouth curled into a grin. That old man Luo Chongqing owed the bank $8 million, and his factory was about to be seized by the court. He couldn't even take care of himself. Even if Lu Ming came knocking, Luo Chongqing wouldn't be able to sell. As long as the bank's pre-litigation preservation wasn't lifted, that land and those warehouses were frozen assets that no one could transfer. Even taking a step back, even if Luo Chongqing were willing to sell, what would Lu Ming use to buy it? Hu Kuei had made an estimate of Lu Ming's funds. 20 million for the building, 15 million to acquire Wanjiafu, and a 10 million yuan renovation budget. Adding in registered capital, daily expenses, and staff wages by any calculation, how much liquid capital could this kid have left? In that mess at Chongqing Wood Industry, the debts alone exceeded 10 million. Including asset premiums and bank mortgage release fees, it couldn't be settled without 15 million. A 25-year-old young man, even with someone backing him, couldn't possibly have a bottomless pit of cash flow. So Hu Kuei was at ease. He even felt that he was certain to win this round. He tossed his phone on the desk, picked up his teacup, and blew away the foam. 11:20. His buzz-cut assistant knocked and entered, looking a bit strange. "Mr. Hu, I just got word. Lu Ming went to Chongqing Wood Industry this morning." Hu Kuei set down his teacup, not paying much mind. So what if he went? Could Luo Chongqing actually sell the factory to him? The bank's preservation hasn't been lifted. He can't buy jack shit. The assistant stayed where he was, not leaving. What is it? Hu Kuei looked up. Word came from ICBC. Lu Ming's people went to the branch at 10 this morning and repaid all of Chongqing Wood Industries' loans. 5 million, settled in full in one go. Hu Kuei's hand, holding the teacup, froze. What did you say? 5 million. The transfer records are already out. At the same time, his lawyer has applied to the court to lift the pre-litigation preservation. The paperwork is being processed. Hu Kuei slowly placed the teacup back on the desk. Before he could even digest this information, the assistant spoke again. The rural commercial bank side is also settled. 3 million, also cleared in one payment. 8 million in bank loans, all paid off in a single morning. Hu Kuei stood up, his chair sliding back half a meter and hitting the bookcase, causing the trophies inside to wobble. What about the money owed to suppliers? The assistant looked down at a newly received message on his phone. 2.4 million. Luo Chongqing's accountant just posted on Moments. All historical debts have been cleared. Chongqing Wood Industry is reborn from the ashes. There were 9 photos attached. One is the bank's settlement certificate and another. The assistant handed the phone over. Hu Kuei took it and looked. In the photo, Luo Chongqing and Lu Ming stood side by side in front of Chongqing Wood Industries' red brick office building. Between them was lawyer Fang Yu, holding up a signed equity transfer agreement. Luo Chongqing had the smile of a survivor on his face, the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes all bunched together. The caption below the photo read, "Thanks to President Lu Ming. Chongqing Wood Industry has changed owners, but thanks to President Lu's trust, I will remain as the factory director. Old soldiers never die. They just change their flag." Lu Ming had kept Luo Chongqing in his position. This move was even more ruthless than the acquisition itself. Hu Kuei knew exactly what this meant. Luo Chongqing had been in the Yunmeng County building materials industry for decades. Although he had been pushed into a corner by Hu Kuei, old Luo's connections, channels, and customer relationships were still there. More than half of the old customers Kueishing building materials had snatched away had originally come from Chongqing Wood Industry. By keeping Luo Chongqing, Lu Ming had essentially kept a ready-made network of relationships. More importantly, Luo Chongqing had a grudge against him. In that price war 10 years ago, old Luo had lost most of his life savings. Old Luo had remembered that grudge for 10 years. Now old Luo had a backer. Hu Kuei slammed the phone onto the desk. The ashtray bounced from the impact, and several cigarette butts rolled onto the documents. Hu Kuei's voice was tight. Where did he get so much money? The assistant shook his head. I don't know either. Hu Kuei glared at him. What the hell do you know? The assistant lowered his head, not daring to speak. Hu Kuei got angrier the more he looked at him. He grabbed a box of tissues and threw it at the assistant's face. Get out. After the assistant left, Hu Kuei dialed the number of the boss of Yuanda Building Materials, Chen Ziyuan. Brother, something big has fucking happened. What's wrong, big brother? Hu Kuei briefly explained Lu Ming's acquisition of Chongqing Wood Industry to Chen Ziyuan. Chen Ziyuan digested it for a moment before asking in confusion. This kid is that rich? Who knows? Ukrili a cigarette. But I estimate he doesn't have much money left. Based on what? Chen Ziyuan asked. Use your brain, little brother. A young man in his 20s, even with a backer, wouldn't be given too much money. It's damn hard to make money these days. I estimate his financier gave him at most 100 million. He should be almost tapped out by now. He won't have the funds to compete with us for that plot of land in Shillip. Big brother, wait a second. Chun Ziwan interrupted Hu Kuei. He already has Chongqing wood industry. Why would he still want to buy the land in Shillapu? You haven't dealt with this kid, little brother. Hu Kui si kit. Damn it, this kid has a very sharp eye. Besides, that plot in Shillapu is right next to the national highway. It's very convenient for trucks to come and go. This kid definitely wants to set up a second building materials city there. Once he succeeds, there won't be any way for us brothers to make a living in Yunmeng County. Chun Ziyuan was silent for a while on the other end, then asked, So, what are you thinking, big brother? Holding his cigarette, Hu Kuei took a pen from the desk and forcefully wrote several numbers on a piece of scrap paper. 20 million for the building, 15 million for Wanjiafu, plus the Maybach and the bad debts of Chongqing wood industry. This kid had dumped out tens of millions in just a few days. He gave a cold laugh and tossed the pen aside. I'm being generous with my estimates. The financier behind him would give him a pool of 100 million at most. Right now, the liquid cash this kid has available absolutely does not exceed 30 million. 30 million? Chen Ziyuan confirmed. Right. Hu Kuei was very certain. The starting bid for the Shillapa land is 24 million. If the two of us pool our resources and prepare 35 million, that should be enough. Chen Ziyuan was hesitant. Big brother, let alone 35 million. I can't even take out 3.5 million right now. I haven't really made money these past few years. I've just been living off my savings. Brother, listen to me. We must take this plot of land. It's a matter of life and death. Why? Chen Ziyuan was very confused. I was the one who took the lead in suggesting those entry requirements to the Land Bureau. If we don't participate, then in the future, don't even think about hanging out with those government officials. Hu Kuei took a deep breath. Listen to me. Mortgage your factory, get a loan, and let's get this land first. Chen Ziyuan fell silent, not speaking for a long time. Hu Kuei added, Trust me. Just like when we dealt with old Luo back then, we'll crush Lu Ming. Then Yunmeng County will still be our territory. If we don't crush him, we'll become the next old Luo. This Lu Ming kid is ruthless. If we don't win this round, our end might not even be as good as old Luo's. After 20 years of painstaking management, do you have the heart to hand over this empire to someone else? Chun Ziyuan pondered for a long time and finally made up his mind. Fine. I'll go to the bank tomorrow to handle the mortgage. Good brother. Hu Kuei slammed the table hard. Tomorrow, we'll go together. Chen Ziyuan stood in front of the safe in his bedroom and entered the password. The safe door popped open. He reached inside and pulled out a dark red booklet. This was the property deed for his 200-square-meter luxury flat. What are you doing with the property deed? A voice came from behind him. Chen Ziyuan's wife stood at the bedroom door in her pajamas, her brow furrowed. The factory needs working capital. I'm taking it to the bank as collateral. Chen Ziyuan stuffed the property deed into the leather bag under his arm and zipped it up. Collateral? His wife walked over. Didn't you just say last month that the factory had 2 million in its account? Why are you even putting our home on the line now? Old Chun, have you been gambling? Gambling my foot? Chen Ziyuan waved his hand irritably. It's a project brother who is leading that plot of land in Shillapu. If we get it, we can dominate the building materials business in Yunmeng County for the next 10 years. If we don't, that kid surnamed Liu from Chongqing wood industry will squeeze us to death. The one surnamed Liu? The one who bought Wanjiafu recently. His wife grabbed Chun Ziyuan's arm. They're so rich. How can you compete with them? Don't go crazy following Hu Kuei. What if you lose? Is our whole family supposed to sleep on the streets? Chen Ziyuan shook off his wife's hand. What do women know? Ignoring his wife's cries behind him, Chen Ziyuan pushed open the security door and strode out. 8:30 a.m. Business Department of the Yunmeng County Rural Commercial Bank Headquarters. Hu Kuei stood on the steps, smoking. He was wearing a black jacket today, his hair combed neatly. Seeing Chun Ziyuan's car pull up to the curb, he threw his cigarette but on the ground and crushed it with his leather shoe. Chun Ziyuan walked up the steps, his eyes dark-circled, clearly having slept poorly last night. "Did you bring everything?" Hu Kuei asked. Chun Ziyuan patted the bulging leather bag and nodded. "Brother, don't look like a frostbitten eggplant." Hu Kuei put his arm around Chun Ziyuan's shoulder as they walked through the glass revolving doors. "Once we get the money out today, we'll go to the Land Bureau tomorrow to place our bid. As long as that land is in our hands, that kid will have to obediently scurry back to Shanghai. Then, old Lu's Chongqing wood industry will be finished too. In all of Yunmeng County, we brothers will still have the final say." Chun Ziyuan forced a smile. The two went straight to the third floor and pushed open the door to the president's office. President Wang, in his 50s with a Mediterranean hairstyle, was sitting behind a large desk reading a newspaper. Seeing Hu Kuei enter, he put down the paper and stood up. Mr. Chun, what a rare surprise." President Wang walked to the guest area, gestured for them to sit, and took out a tin of Shenyang Maojian from under the coffee table. "President Wang, we wouldn't come if there wasn't a reason." Hu Kuei didn't bother with pleasantries and threw the dossier in his hand onto the coffee table. "Ziyuan and I are here today to get some funds approved." President Wang held a kettle and poured water into 3 glass cups. "How much?" 35 million. President Wang's hand paused, and the hot water nearly splashed onto the coffee table. He put down the kettle, sat back on the sofa, and sized the two up. "Mr. Hu, are you joking with me? 35 million is no small amount. Money is tight in the county right now, and the headquarters is very strict about large-sum loans." "I know." Hu Kuei pointed to the dossier. "Kueisheng Building Materials factory buildings, plus my detached villa in Shishan Mansion. On Ziyuan's side, it's the Yuanda Building Materials factory buildings, plus his luxury flat in Yujing Bay. Full collateral." President Wang pulled out the materials from the dossier and flipped through a few pages. "Mr. Hu, the appraised value of industrial land factories has to be halved. Even at the most generous estimate, these 2 factories are worth 20 million. Adding the 2 residences, it's 25 million at most. 35 million. The gap is too large." Hu Kuei leaned forward, staring into President Wang's eyes. "President Wang, we haven't just started dealing with each other today. When your nephew joined the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau last year, I put in more than a few good words with Director Bai, didn't I?" President Wang picked up his teacup and said nothing. Hu Kuei continued, "I must have that plot in Shilapu. I only need this money for 3 months. Once the land procedures are done, I'll just find a trust for bridge financing and settle the loan with you immediately. Help me bump up the appraisal value a bit and speed up the process. Once it's done, the usual rules apply." Hu Kuei's usual rules referred to 1% of the loan amount as a kickback. For 35 million, the kickback for this single deal would be 350,000. But this time, President Wang clearly wanted more. He took a sip of tea and set down the cup. "Mr. Hu, for 35 million, I have to report to the municipal branch. I'll talk to the appraisal company and try to get them to value it as high as possible. But I'm not the only one with a say in all this." Hu Kuei thought for a long time before holding up 2 fingers. 2%. MHM. President Wang nodded. "One more thing. Are the residences in your individual names, or are they jointly owned by you and your wives?" Hu Kuei and Chun Ziyuan looked at each other. Chun Ziyuan spoke first. "Jointly owned." Hu Kuei followed. "Me too." As soon as Hu Kuei said this, both Chun Ziyuan and President Wang were stunned. This didn't fit Hu Kuei's character. "Sai, Hu Kui Si Kit. A few years ago, damn it, I wanted her to give me a child, so I added her name. Chun Ziyuan. Did she?" "No," President Wang said. "In that case, both husbands and wives must be present to sign." 11 a.m. Chun Ziyuan's wife arrived first. She looked resentful and tried to argue with Chun Ziyuan several times, but he hissed at her to stop embarrassing them. 10 minutes later, the door to the signing room was pushed open. A young woman wearing a slip dress and high heels walked in. She wore heavy makeup and carried a Birkin bag. She was Hu Kuei's third wife, the model born after 2000. What did you call me here for in the middle of the day? The woman's tone was impatient as she pulled out a chair and sat down. Hu Kuei pushed 2 mortgage contracts in front of her. Sign and leave your thumbprint. The woman looked down at the contract title, and her eyes instantly widened. Mortgage contract? Shishan Mansion? Hu Kuei, you're going to mortgage the house we live in. The factory needs to acquire land. It's for working capital. Hu Kuei suppressed his anger. I'm not signing. The woman threw down the pen. You just said a few days ago that business was tough, and now you're mortgaging the house? What if you go bankrupt? Are you going to make me starve with you? There were 2 other loan officers in the room. Hearing this, they both lowered their heads and pretended to organize documents. Chen Ziyuan and his wife also looked over. Hu Kuei felt he was losing face. He had been a tyrant in the county for 20 years. When had he ever been humiliated by a woman in public? He suddenly stood up and raised his hand. Slap! A loud slap landed on the woman's face. The woman clutched her face, stunned. I told you to sign. Hu Kuei's voice echoed in the hall. I can buy you villas and bags, and I can also send you back to Zhengzhou to work at car shows. Sign! Tears burst from the woman's eyes, and she didn't dare speak again. Trembling, she picked up the pen, signed her name on the contract, and pressed down a bright red thumbprint. Seeing this, Chen Ziyuan's wife trembled in fear and quickly signed her own contract as well. 3 days later, under President Wang's special approval and urging, the procedures went through with a green light all the way. Chen Ziyuan's loan passed through his own account and was then transferred directly to Hu Kuei's bank card. Yunming County Rural Commercial Bank, your account, ending in 6566, received a transfer of 35 million renminbi at 1512. Current balance, 36,215,400.00. Hu Kuei looked at the numbers on the screen and let out a long breath. Chen Ziyuan sat in the passenger's seat, gripping Hu Kuei's hand. Brother, this is our entire net worth. We've really burned our bridges this time. Hu Kui noted. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock at the Land Bureau's trading hall, I'll see what that guy, surnamed Liu, has to fight me with. First floor of the Yunming County Natural Resources Bureau, Land Transaction Hall. This hall was usually deserted. The land plots listed for 2 years often outnumbered the people coming to do business. Today was different. 7 or 8 cars were parked at the entrance, and several groups of people stood in the hallway. Zhou Yin and 2 clerks were setting up on the rostrum, with a projector displaying aerial photos and listing information for the Shilipa plot. Starting bid, 24 million. Deposit, 4.8 million. Bid increment, no less than 500,000 per bid. At 9:50, Hu Kuei arrived. Chen Ziyuan followed behind, clutching a document bag in his hand. The 2 entered the transaction hall. Hu Kuei walked straight to the seat on the far right of the front row and scanned the venue. Lu Ming hadn't arrived yet. The corners of Hu Kuei's mouth curled up slightly. He turned his head and whispered to Chen Ziyuan, "Look, he doesn't dare to show up." Chen Ziyuan didn't respond. He had suffered from insomnia again last night. 9:55. The engine roar of a Maybach came from outside the window. Hu Kuei's smile froze for half a second. He didn't look back, but his body instinctively straightened up. Lu Ming pushed the door open and entered. Lawyer Fan Yu followed behind him, wearing a black professional suit with a briefcase tucked under her arm. Lu Yuan walked last, carrying a black shoulder bag containing the company's seal and a bank USB key. The 3 took their seats, sitting directly opposite Hu Kuei. After sitting down, Lu Ming looked up and nodded at Hu Kuei. "Mr. Hu." Hu Kuei replied, "Mr. Liu." 10 o'clock sharp. The host was the Deputy Section Chief of the Land Administration Section of the Natural Resources Bureau. Wearing glasses and holding a microphone, he read through the bidding rules and plot information by the book. For this listing and bidding, plot no. YM 2024 G017, with an area of 100 mu, land use designated as industrial compatible with commercial. The starting price is 24 million renminbi. Bidder number 1, Kueisheng Building Materials Company, Limited. Bidder number 2, Yunming Investment Company, Limited. The deputy section chief pushed up his glasses. The bidding now begins. Starting price, 24 million. Lu Ming raised his paddle. 24 million. Hu Kuei immediately raised his paddle. 25 million. Lu Ming glanced at Hu Kuei and said unhurriedly, 26 million. Hu Kuei followed closely, 28 million. A 2 million increase at once. The pace was quickening. Lu Ming picked up the mineral water bottle in front of him, unscrewed the cap, took a sip, and said without changing his expression, 30 million. As soon as this price came out, the eyes of the deputy section chief on the rostrum lit up. Land that couldn't be sold for 2 years had already reached a premium of 6 million today. 30 million was within his budget, far from his ceiling. 31 million. Lu Ming raised his paddle again. 32 million. Hu Kuei, 33 million. Back and forth they went, with increments controlled at 1 million. The pace was neither fast nor slow. When it reached 33 million, Lu Ming did not immediately raise his paddle. He put down the mineral water bottle, leaned back in his chair, and looked down at his phone. 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds. The hall fell silent. The deputy section chief spoke up. Will Yunming Investment continue to increase the bid? Hu Kuei stared intently at Lu Ming's profile. Lu Ming looked up, his tone indifferent. 34 million. Hu Kuei breathed a sigh of relief. Although he was still following, that hesitant pause indicated that the other party's capital chain was already strained. 35 million. Hu Kuei raised his paddle much faster. This was his baseline price. He had arrived. Lu Ming fell silent again. This silence was even longer. 10 seconds. Just as the deputy section chief was about to inquire for the second time, Lu Ming spoke. 36 million. Chen Ziyuan's expression changed. He leaned over and whispered into Hu Kuei's ear, his voice barely audible. Brother, it's over the limit. Hu Kuei didn't move. He stared at Lu Ming opposite him, his mind racing. 36 million was already 1 million over budget. But Hu Kuei carefully recalled Lu Ming's pauses before each bid just now. Each one was longer than the last, with more hesitation. This kid was gritting his teeth and hanging on. Hu Kuei was certain. 37 million. This was no longer a rational calculation. It was a gamble. Lu Ming paused for another dozen seconds, then raised his paddle. 38 million. Chen Ziyuan's hands began to shake. He grabbed Hu Kuei's arm. Brother, we can't add any more. Hu Kuei brushed his hand away. On the rostrum, the deputy section chief and the 2 clerks beside him were already whispering to each other. Director Ma had appeared at the door in the back of the hall at some point, arms crossed, with an expression like a parched land finally meeting rain. A piece of industrial land that had been listed for 2 years with a starting price of 24 million had reached 38 million today, a 14 million premium. Once this money entered their pockets, the year-end performance bonuses were secured. Lu Ming suddenly turned his head and looked at Hu Kuei. Their gazes met. Lu Ming's expression remained calm throughout, and then he slowly raised his paddle. 39 million. The deputy section chief's voice on the rostrum even changed its pitch. Yunming Investment bids 39 million. Does Kueisheng Building Materials continue to increase the bid? Director Ma gently patted the doorframe in the back row twice, only stopping when Zhou Yin pulled him back. Chen Ziyuan was now slumped in his chair, his lips pale and forehead sweating. 39 million was 4 million more than their total loan amount. Brother, forget it, we can't beat him. Hu Kuei ignored him completely. Shilapu was his lifeblood. If he couldn't get this land and the building materials city fell into Lu Ming's hands, Kueisheng would be at a dead end. 40 million. Hu Kuei stood up. Chen Ziyuan yelped and stood up excitedly as well, whispering a reminder. Brother, we don't have that much money. Hu Kuei covered his mouth with his hand and said, I paid over 4 million as a deposit before. It's enough. Hearing this, Chen Ziyuan closed his eyes completely and slumped back into his chair. The deputy section chief's hand was shaking as he looked at Lu Ming. Does Yunming Investment continue to increase the bid? All eyes were focused on Lu Ming. Lu Yuan leaned into Lu Ming's ear and said, Brother, the premium is too high. This land has already started the process for conversion from industrial to commercial use. In the future, each mu will require a price difference of at least 1 million. Lu Ming patted Lu Yuan's hand, signaling her not to panic. He slowly put down the paddle in his hand, placed it face down on the table, then slowly stood up, smiled at Hu Kuei, and said, "A gentleman does not take what others love. Since Mr. Hu wants this land so badly, I can only yield it to you." Hu Kuei froze in place, neither standing nor sitting. "He went just like that? He's not bidding higher?" The deputy section chief announced the result. Plot no. YM 2024 G017 is won by Kueisheng Building Materials Company, Limited for 40 million yuan. Lu Ming rose to leave. As he passed by Hu Kuei, he nodded in greeting. "Congratulations, Mr. Hu. Mr. Hu has such courage." Director Ma walked over slowly from the back of the hall with his hands behind his back, followed closely by Zhou Yan. "Congratulations. Taking Shilapu for 40 million. Mr. Hu's strength is still second to none in our Yunmeng County." Hu Kuei quickly stood up straight. "Director Ma flatters me. I'll still need to rely on the Bureau's support for the building materials city's procedures in the future. Support, the county will definitely support local enterprises. However, Mr. Hu, there's a policy regulation that I, as the director, must remind you of in person. The nature of the Shilapu plot is industrial land. If you build factories, no problem, but if you build a building materials city, that counts as commercial use." Hu Kuei was stunned. "Director Ma, you mean, according to our county's management regulations, for industrial to commercial conversion, changing the land use requires paying the price difference. How much is the difference?" Chen Ziyuan asked. "About 1 million per mu. For these 100 mu, that would be 100 million. Hu Kuei felt his vision go dark, and his mind was filled with nothing but a buzzing tinnitus. Chen Ziyuan was the first to react. "Director Ma, the 1 million per mu you mentioned, is it mandatory?" "Of course it's mandatory." Director Ma held his hands behind his back, his tone steady. "It's national policy, written in black and white. For industrial land converted to commercial use, the land grant price difference must be paid. This price wasn't set by me. It's the guidance price from the Provincial Department of Natural Resources. Yunmeng County is actually quite cheap. In the neighboring counties, it starts at 1.2 million. Chen Ziyuan turned to look at Hu Kuei. Hu Kuei didn't look at him. His gaze passed through the glass window of the trading hall and fell on the Maybach in the parking lot. The car had already started. The ink-black body reflected a flash of light in the sun as it slowly drove out of the parking lot, turned onto the main road, merged into the traffic, and disappeared. Only then did Hu Kuei withdraw his gaze, staring at the face-down bidding paddle on the table. 40 million, plus the 100 million in supplementary price difference. 140 million. He only had a total of over 36 million in cash, 35 million of which was a bank loan obtained by mortgaging 2 houses and 2 factory buildings. In other words, he had spent his entire net worth to buy a piece of land he couldn't afford to use at all. "Mr. Hu," Director Ma called out to him. Hu Kuei snapped back to his senses, his Adam's apple bobbing. "Director Ma, for this supplementary payment, is there an installment policy?" "There is." Director Ma nodded. "It's split into 2 installments. The first is 50% to be paid in full within 6 months. The remaining 50% must be settled within a year. For overdue payments, the county has the right to reclaim the land use rights, and the deposit and premium portions will not be refunded. The first installment of 50 million, within 6 months. Hu Kuei couldn't even scrape together 5 million in liquid funds now. "Director Ma, I'll look into it further." Hu Kuei stood up, his voice dry. "Alright, Norus." Director Ma smiled as he saw them out. "But a reminder, the transaction confirmation letter must be signed within 3 working days. Exceeding that time will be considered reneging on the bid, and the deposit will not be refunded." The deposit was 4.8 million. If he forfeited the bid, it would be equivalent to throwing away 4.8 million for nothing. If he didn't forfeit and sign the confirmation, but couldn't produce the 50 million for the price difference within 6 months, the land would still be reclaimed, and the 40 million bid payment could no longer be refunded. A cliff on the left and a cliff on the right. When Hu Kuei walked out of the trading hall, his legs felt a bit weak. He leaned against the corridor wall for a moment, and Chen Yuan caught up from behind. Brother, the interest on that 35 million loan alone is nearly 300,000 a month. If we can't secure the land, the houses and the factories will all be seized by the bank. Hu Kuei fished a cigarette pack out of his pocket, pulled one out, and lit it. He did it on purpose. Hu Kuei exhaled a thick cloud of smoke. Ooh, Lu Ming. Hu Kuei looked up. Damn it, the whole thing was a setup from start to finish. He never wanted that land at all. Chen Ziyuan was stunned. His pauses before every bid were an act. Hu Kuei smoked until the filter was hot. He deliberately made me think he was about to cave, leading me to keep chasing him. Once it hit 40 million, he backed off. But he bought Chongqing Wood Industry and has 5,000 square meters of storage now. Why wouldn't he want the land? Hu Kuei threw the cigarette but on the ground and crushed it with his foot. Because he doesn't need that land at all. Hu Kuei gritted his teeth. He has the 12,000 square meter factory area of Chongqing Wood Industry and an 8,000 square meter warehouse. The location is better than Shilapu, and the facilities are more complete. He didn't buy Chongqing Wood Industry to qualify for the auction. He bought it to replace Shilapu. Chen Ziyuan's face turned pale. Then what did he come to the auction for? Hu Kuei looked up at the national emblem hanging at the entrance of the Natural Resources Bureau building. To drive me to ruin. Chen Ziyuan's hands began to shake. Brother, what do we do now? Hu Kuei didn't answer. He stood up, patted the dust off his pants, and strode toward the parking lot. A white Range Rover was parked lonely in a corner. He sat in the driver's seat without starting the car, his hands propped on the steering wheel and his forehead resting against the back of his hands. Chen Ziyuan opened the passenger door and sat inside, not daring to speak for a long time. 5 minutes later, Hu Kuei straightened up and started scrolling through his phone's contact list. Hello, Mr. Zhang. It's Hu Kuei. There's something I want to discuss with you. Are you still interested in that Shilapu land? Yes, the one that was just auctioned today. I want to transfer it. There was silence on the other end of the line for 2 seconds, followed by a sigh. Old Hu, in this day and age, who has the money to buy land? Hu Kuei hung up and dialed the next one. Mr. Sun, it's Hu Kuei. Mr. Hu, what's the matter? I bought a piece of land, and I'm looking for a partner to develop it together. Old Hu, I'll be honest with you, I have no money. Hung up. Hu Kuei made 3 more calls, and the answers he received were much the same. Either they weren't interested, or they gave a polite refusal. The news had already spread. In one afternoon, he called over a dozen building material suppliers and real estate brokers, and not one was willing to take over the hot potato that was Shilapu. No one would wade into these muddy waters. Meanwhile, on the second floor of Xinqing Building, Lu Yuan walked into the office carrying a cup of hot tea and placed it on Lu Ming's desk. Brother, when you were bidding today, you intentionally raised it to 39 million and then let go, didn't you? Lu Ming took a sip of tea and said nothing. After you bought Chongqing Wood Industry, you didn't plan on buying that land at all, right? Lu Ming set the teacup down. Initially, I did intend to take that land, because considering long-term development, land reserves must keep up. But since Hu Kuei insisted on interfering, I changed my mind. Lu Yuan thought for a moment while biting her pen cap. Then her eyes suddenly widened. You wanted him to sink all his money into the land, so he wouldn't have any strength left to mess with you? Lu Ming leaned back in his chair, his gaze falling on the darkening sky outside the window. You could say that. Lu Yuan took the pen cap out of her mouth and took a deep breath. Brother, you're really ruthless. It's not that I'm ruthless. Lu Ming stood up and walked to the window. Once a grudge is formed, it should be settled as quickly as possible. I don't want rivals. I just want to run a small business peacefully. Then Hu Kuei, won't he retaliate against us frantically next? That's his business. But before he retaliates, he should first think about how to solve that $100 million price difference. At that moment, there were 2 knocks on the office door. Shinli pushed the door open and entered, holding her phone with an expression that was hard to describe. Excitement mixed with nervousness. Mr. Liu, the Hunan Daily reporter, Lin Shi, just sent a message. Her article will be in the newspaper tomorrow. It's on the front page of the second section of the provincial newspaper, and the headline is set. What's the headline? Shinli handed the phone over. On the screen was a layout screenshot sent by Lin Shi. In the lead position of the second section, in large bold letters, a 25-year-old young man returns to the county and splurges 100 million in less than a month, vowing to recreate another Pang Dong lie. When it comes to clickbait, traditional media within the establishment can reach the industry's peak with just a casual effort. At 9 o'clock the next morning, Hunan Daily was delivered on time to the mailrooms of various government agencies in Yunmen County. Those within the system are highly sensitive to the provincial newspaper. In less than half an hour, this front-page headline on the second page had spread throughout the government compounds. County Party Committee Compound, the county magistrate's office. A newspaper smelling of fresh ink was spread out on the mahogany desk. The county magistrate read the report word for word, then picked up his phone and dialed the number for Bai Chongwen, the director of the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau. Old Bai, have you seen the article in the provincial newspaper? I just finished it. County magistrate. Bai Chongwen's voice carried a hint of relief. Fortunately, we processed Wang Jiafa's paperwork a few days ago. Otherwise, if this report had been written differently, our county's business environment would have become infamous. This Lu Ming is not simple. The county magistrate tapped the newspaper with his finger. He has capital, courage, and knows how to leverage momentum. The county desperately needs this kind of living water that can drive domestic demand and employment right now. Director Bai agreed repeatedly. Rest assured, county magistrate, the Bureau will thoroughly grasp the spirit of your instructions and provide comprehensive service and support for high-quality, returning enterprises like this. At the same time, the Natural Resources Bureau. Director Ma held his teacup, looking at the headline on the newspaper and shaking his head in admiration. This Lu Ming is impressive. By the way, Zhou Yin, go pressure Kuaishing. It's been 3 days. Why haven't they come to pay yet? Once the official tone was set, the public immediately followed suit. Several top local self-media and short video accounts moved upon hearing the news, quickly posting screenshots of the report. In less than a day, the number of shares for the relevant videos exceeded 100,000, completely dominating the WeChat moments of the people in Yunmen County. In noodle shops and tea stalls on every street corner, heated discussions about the 100 million yuan investment could be heard everywhere. 100 million, 25 years old. How can he be so capable? Our county actually has such a talented person. I heard he even got into a fight with that Hu Kuei from Kuaishing. TSK Tisk, he's quite a character. Lu Ming's phone hadn't stopped ringing. High school classmates, middle school classmates, elementary school classmates, and even strangers claiming to be classmates. Even his father, Lu Jiangwo, had received over a dozen calls, all asking what his son was actually doing. Lu Ming arrived at the company at 8 o'clock sharp. The first-floor lobby was livelier than usual. A stack of resumes was piled on Zhou Xiaoyan's reception desk, all delivered this morning. Some were in envelopes, while others were simply A4 paper folded in half and stuffed in. The most ridiculous one was written on a piece of notebook paper, with crooked handwriting and a note at the end. I can endure hardship and have a large appetite. Shenli came down from the second floor with a list. As of now today, we've received 47 resumes. 23 were delivered directly offline, and the rest were submitted online. How's the quality? It's a mixed bag. Shenli flipped through a few pages. A few are okay. People who previously worked in retail management in Zhengzhou or Shenzhen and came back specifically after seeing the report in the provincial newspaper. But most are locals with no work experience, just here for the high salary. High salary should be given, but not for nothing. Lu Ming walked upstairs. Filter them first. What's the progress at Wang Jiafu? Shenli followed him. It's entered the formal renovation phase. He Mingyuan expects it will take about 2 more weeks to officially complete. Good. 2 p.m., the construction site of Wang Jiafu Shopping Plaza. The originally dilapidated exterior facade was now completely wrapped in scaffolding and green safety netting. The floor of the first-floor lobby had been broken open, revealing the utility conduits underneath. The air was filled with the smell of cement dust and the burnt scent of cutting metal. Lu Ming, wearing a white hard hat, walked in, stepping over the piles of broken bricks. He Ming Yuan, the chief designer of Dingyuan Space, was holding blueprints and loudly confirming the reinforcement plan for the load-bearing pillars with the construction foreman. Seeing Lu Ming, He Ming Yuan patted the dust off himself and walked over quickly. "President Liu, you're here." He Ming Yuan pointed to the central air conditioning ducts overhead. "The fresh air system just arrived yesterday. It's a full set of Dakin's top-tier commercial equipment. To achieve the 6 air changes per hour rate you requested, we tore out all the original piping and rerouted everything." Lu Ming looked up. "Can you keep up with the schedule?" 3 shifts, 24 hours a day without stopping. "We can definitely finish in 20 days." He Ming Yuan flipped open the blueprints in his hand. "However, President Liu, there are a few details I'd like to confirm with you again. Your budget is very generous, but from a commercial operations perspective, some areas are indeed a bit wasteful." "Go on." He Ming Yuan flipped to the 3rd page. "The first-floor restrooms. According to your requirements, the male-to-female ratio is 1:2. That's fine. But you requested that every stall be equipped with a Toto smart toilet. The wash basins have Dyson hand dryers, and you want to set aside 100 square meters specifically for a nursery room, complete with milk warmers, cribs, independent nursing rooms, and constant temperature drinking water." He Ming Yuan paused, his tone complex. "President Liu, this is just a county town. If that 100 square meter nursery were turned into a gold jewelry counter, the annual rental income would be at least 1,000,000 yuan. By making it a free public facility, the sales per square foot aren't important." Lu Ming interrupted him. "What matters is the experience. We need the customers to feel that once they step through this door, the respect they receive is no different from paying donglai." He Ming Yuan swallowed and flipped to the next page. "And there's the entire area you've allocated for the employee break zone. A gym, shower rooms, sleep pods with automatic massage chairs, and a free buffet cafeteria. President Liu, paying Donglai's employee benefits are good, but they reach their current scale after 20 years of development. If you start like this right out of the gate, the labor and facility maintenance costs will crush your cash flow. That's my concern." Lu Ming looked at He Ming Yuan. "Your job is just to turn what's on the blueprints into reality. If the budget isn't enough, contact the finance department for approval at any time." "All right, President Liu. In all my years in the industry, you're the first person I've seen like this." Lu Ming smiled. "Just do it. Don't worry about the cost. For everything, only the best quality." He Ming Yuan nodded heavily. "Understood." After a simple lunch, Lu Ming returned to Xinqing Building. Just as he was about to take a short nap, his phone rang. An unknown number. The caller ID showed Shenzhen. "Hello, is this President Lu Ming?" The other person's voice was young, with a southern accent. "This is he." "Hello, President Liu. My name is Zhao Yizhou. I previously served as a regional operations director at Yonghui Supermarket for 6 years, responsible for the opening and daily operations management of 37 stores. I saw the report in the Hunan Daily today and wanted to talk with you." Lu Ming leaned back in his chair. "Sure, you're welcome to. I want to return to Hunan." The voice on the other end paused. "President Liu, have you found an operations team for Wanjiafa yet?" "Not yet. I think I could give it a try. If you have time tomorrow morning, come to Xinqing Building and we can talk in person." "All right, President Liu, I'll be there." Lu Ming hung up and lay back in his chair. Just as he closed his eyes, the sound of an argument came from downstairs. Zhou Xiaoyan's voice sounded helpless. "Ma'am, you really can't come in without an appointment." Immediately after, a familiar female voice followed. "Little sister, I'm not here to cause trouble. My name is Chun Sitian. Your President Liu and I know each other. I'm here today because I have serious business to discuss with him." Zhou Xiaoyan still shook her head. "You can't go in without an appointment. Then I'll just sit in the lobby and wait. I'll go up whenever he's free." Chun Sitian was sitting on the sofa in the first-floor lobby. Her legs were together, her back was ramrod straight, and her eyes were fixed on the stairs. Lu Ming grabbed a jacket and headed downstairs. Miss Chun, what do you need from me? Chun Sitian stood up immediately. Mr. Liu, I want to talk to you about something. Speak. Chun Sitian glanced at Zhou Xiaoyan at the front desk, looking hesitant. Speak your mind. There are no outsiders here. Lu Ming had no intention of inviting her upstairs. Chun Sitian bit her lip, pulled her phone from her pocket, found a screenshot, and held it out to Lu Ming. It was a screenshot of a WeChat chat log. The conversation was between Hu Kuei and someone labeled Section Chief Qian. Section Chief Qian, don't worry, Mr. Hu. I'm keeping an eye on the environmental assessment side. If he dares not to provide supplementary materials, I won't let him pass. Hu Kuei, once it's done, the year-end payment will be as usual. Lu Ming glanced at it, but didn't reach out to take the phone. How did you get these chat screenshots? A sister from Shangshi Wangchao took them. Chun Sitian pulled her phone back. Last time Hu Kuei went there to sing, he drank too much and kept bragging that everyone in the county, top to bottom, was his man. He even claimed, what is Lu Ming? How is he worthy of fighting me? He even showed off several chat logs. I knew he was fighting you, so I stayed alert and had my sisters keep an eye on him. Lu Ming looked at her without saying a word. Chun Sitian took half a step forward and lowered her voice. Mr. Liu, I have a few more. Hu Kuei has chat logs with people from the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau, Urban Management, and Industrial and Commercial Bureau. If you can use them, I can. I don't need them. Chun Sitian was stunned. Miss Chun, the environmental assessment issue has already been resolved. These screenshots have no value to me. Chun Sitian's expression stiffened for a moment before she quickly recovered, her tone softening a bit. Then, I won't use the screenshots as a trade. Mr. Liu, even the provincial newspaper has reported on you. Your company is bound to expand greatly. Although I don't have much education, my greatest strengths are being tight-lipped, loyal, and having many connections. Give me a chance. I'll do anything, even if I have to start from the front desk. Stop. Lu Ming interrupted Chun Sitian. If I don't agree, are you going to come here every day? As long as you don't find it annoying, I really can come every day. Lu Ming looked at her refuse to quit until the goal is met attitude and tapped his fingers twice on the stair railing. He did indeed need someone familiar with the various social circles in the county to handle something. Since you have many connections, I'll give you a task. If you succeed, there's a place for you at Yunmeng Investment. What task? What task? Take 2 weeks to map out all the entertainment venues in the county, KTVs, nightclubs, bath centers, and so on, including their price points and services. All right, just you wait and see. After Chun Sitian finished speaking, she skipped away happily. 10 o'clock the next morning. A dust-covered Volkswagen La Vida stopped in front of Xinqing Building. It had been driven back from Shenzhen. 1,500 kilometers, a 16 to 17-hour drive. The car door opened, and a man in his early 30s stepped out. He was of average height, had a buzz cut, and slightly dark skin. No suit, no briefcase, and no deliberate dressing up to try and establish a good impression during an interview. He stood at the entrance of the building, looked up at the 6-story structure, then glanced around the empty plaza before walking into the lobby. Hello, my name is Zhao Yizhou. I have a 10 o'clock appointment with Mr. Liu. Zhou Xiaoyan verified the name and led him to the second floor. The door to Lu Ming's office was open. Shun Li was sitting in a side chair, holding a printed copy of the resume he had submitted. Zhao Yizhou entered the room. Instead of shaking hands first, he scanned the office. His gaze lingered for a moment on the map of Yunmeng County on the wall, then on the stack of construction blueprints on the coffee table. Director Zhao, please have a seat. Lu Ming pointed to the chair opposite him. Don't call me director. I've already resigned. Zhao Yizhou sat down, resting his hands on his knees. Just call me Old Zhao. Shun Li spoke up. Mr. Zhao, your resume says you were in charge of regional operations for 37 Yonghui stores, and your performance in the South China region ranked in the top 3 for 3 consecutive years. This track record is already top tier in the industry. Why did you leave? On one hand, there was a structural adjustment at headquarters. My authority was cut, and being caught in the middle was frustrating. Zhao Yizhou spoke very bluntly, without any embellishment. On the other hand, my parents are getting older, and their health isn't great. I've been looking for an opportunity to return to my hometown. Furthermore, traditional supermarkets in first and second-tier cities have reached their limit in competition. I believe experiential commerce in lower-tier markets like county towns is the blue ocean of the future. Lu Ming flipped through the resume. What was the largest area of a single store you managed? The Fuzhou Taijiang store. 18,000 square meters. Average daily foot traffic of 23,000 and a monthly sales per square meter of 1,600. The area of Wanjiafu after the renovation will be 12,000 square meters. In a fifth-tier city like Yunmeng County, how much sales per square meter do you think we can achieve? Zhao Yizhou thought seriously for 5 seconds. It depends on your positioning. If we follow the traditional supermarket model, reaching 800 a month per square meter would be the absolute ceiling. The population base of a county town is right there. There's a cap on consumption frequency and average transaction value. But if we turn it into a high-frequency livelihood format plus fresh food plus an experiential consumption complex, the sales per square meter will be very high. As Zhao Yizhou spoke, he pulled his phone from his pants pocket, found a memo document, and pushed it across the coffee table to Lu Ming. Yesterday, after we hung up the phone, I spent 5 hours putting this together. Lu Ming picked up the phone. It was a document of over 7,000 words titled Yunmeng County Wanjiafu Supermarket Renovation and Operation Plan Draft. The table of contents was divided into 7 major sections: business format planning, product structure, supply chain establishment, personnel organization, service standards, member system, and a 3-year forecast model. Lu Ming scrolled down. In the product structure column, Zhao Yizhou had subdivided the category demands of county-level consumption into 26 subcategories. From grain, oil, rice, and flour to daily chemicals and cleaning, from fresh aquatic products to local agricultural specialties, each subcategory was marked with a suggested percentage and a corresponding supplier channel strategy. The supply chain section was even more detailed. He had drawn a flowchart. Direct sourcing from local farmers should be no less than 40%, provincial suppliers 30%, and direct supply for national brands 30%. Next to local direct sourcing, he had noted in small text, key leverage point. It can both lower costs and drive local agricultural employment, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Lu Ming scrolled to the last page. In the 3-year forecast model, Zhao Yizhou provided 3 hypothetical scenarios: optimistic, neutral, and pessimistic. In the pessimistic scenario, the estimated monthly loss for Wanjiafu in the first half year would be between 800,000 and 1.2 million. Lu Ming put down the phone and looked at Zhao Yizhou. Very detailed and very diligent. I never fight a battle I'm not prepared for. Zhao Yizhou leaned back against a chair. What about salary? What are your requirements? Lu Ming asked. At Yonghui, I was on an annual salary system of 450,000 plus year-end performance bonuses. My average annual income over the past few years was around 700,000. However, considering you're just starting out, I can lower my salary accordingly. No need to lower it. Lu Ming waved his hand. But I have one requirement. Please go ahead. You've spent so many years in regional operations. You must have a group of capable lieutenants under you. I hope you can bring them over to operate Wanjiafu together. Zhao Yizhou looked a bit troubled. Mr. Liu, this request is a bit. They're all in Shenzhen, a first-tier metropolis with many resources and opportunities. I'm afraid. I understand, Lu Ming said. There will certainly be difficulties, but what I can offer is high pay and a new career. Their salaries will increase by 20%, and everyone will have performance bonuses. Lu Ming leaned forward, staring into Zhao Yizhou's eyes. For every core talent you bring back, your base salary will increase by 50,000, with no upper limit. Hearing this, Zhao Yizhou no longer hesitated. He stood up and reached out to shake Lu Ming's hand. Mr. Liu, thank you for your trust. Lu Ming stood up, shook his hand, and asked, When can you start? Tomorrow. On the large mahogany desk, the cigarette butts in the ashtray had already piled up into a small mountain. Chen Duan sat on the sofa, his eyes bloodshot and his hair a messy tangle. He hadn't closed his eyes for 2 consecutive days. Hu Kuei stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, holding his phone and making his 15th call of the morning. "Hello, Oldly, it's Hu Kuei. Right about that plot of land in Shilapu. Don't hang up yet. I'm not asking you to take over the deal. Just lend me $5 million. I'll pay 2% interest. How about it? Just for a month's turnover." "Hello. Hello." A busy signal came from the phone. The veins on the back of Hu Kuei's hand bulged as he slammed the phone onto the sofa. Hung up again. Chen Ziyuan's voice trembled. Hu Kuei didn't say a word. He turned and walked to the desk, leaning his hands on it and staring fixedly at the auction transaction confirmation issued by the Natural Resources Bureau. Before them lay a dead end. If they signed the confirmation and transferred the $40 million auction payment, they would get the land. But if they couldn't pay the balance in 6 months, the government would reclaim the land without compensation, and the $40 million would go down the drain. More importantly, the premium on this land was too high, and he didn't even need it. The only reason he had competed with Lu Ming for it was to protect his own moat. He hadn't expected it to turn out like this. After careful consideration, a bold idea formed in Hu Kuei's mind. He turned back, looked at Chen Ziyuan, and said, "Brother, we're not buying this land anymore." "What?" Chen Ziyuan thought he had misheard. "Brother, you're not planning to renege on the bid, are you?" "Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing." Chen Ziyuan covered his face. "Brother, do you know the consequences of reneging on a bid?" "At most, my deposit of over $4 million won't be refunded." "It's over $4 million, not 400, Chen Ziyuan said. "What else can we do? If we don't renege, we'll have to pay another $100 million. Where do we get that kind of money? Besides, we don't even have a use for that land." "But," Chen Ziyuan hesitated, "if we renege, we can forget about dealing with the Land Bureau in the future. They won't give us any more profitable business." "Profitable? What kind of business could they give me that would make back this $100 million? The next morning, Natural Resources Bureau, Director Ma's office. "Director Ma, I've thought about it for 2 days." Hu Kuei sat across the desk, his face ashen. "I'm not signing for this land." Director Ma put down his teacup, seemingly having expected this. "Mr. Hu, are you sure? The deposit won't be refunded." "I'm sure." Director Ma was silent for a few seconds before pulling a blank form from a drawer and sliding it over. "Then fill out a declaration of bid withdrawal, sign it, and stamp it." Hu Kuei took the pen. The tip of the pen hovered over the paper for 2 seconds before descending. He wrote slowly, stroke by stroke. After signing the last character, he laid the pen on the table, stood up, and left. No pleasantries, no small talk. Chen Ziyuan was waiting in the corridor. Seeing Hu Kuei come out, he hurried forward. "Is it settled?" "It's settled. The deposit won't be refunded." "Sai, what a mess. After all that, we just threw away over $4 million for nothing." Hu Kuei glared at him. "That's my money, not yours." Zhouyan's tip-off was timely. As soon as Hu Kuei left, he sent the information to Lu Ming. "Mr. Lu, Hu Kuei just signed the bid withdrawal declaration. The deposit of $4.8 million will not be refunded. The Shilapu plot will be relisted." "Got it." Lu Ming hung up the phone and forwarded Zhou Yan's message to the workgroup. Shunli replied instantly with 666. Lu Yuan sent an emoji, a yellow clapping face. "Lawyer Fong, you didn't chime in." Just as Lu Ming was about to put down his phone, a message from Lawyer Fong Yu arrived. It wasn't in the workgroup. It was a private message. It was a link from the CCTV News app. Title, Undercover Investigation. Serious data inflation and investment attraction in a central county. Claims $7.8 billion. Actual arrival less than $100 million. Lu Ming clicked on the video. In the footage, a reporter in a dark jacket stood in front of a government office building. Microphone pointed at a man in his early 50s with meticulously combed hair. "Director Zhang, your county announced 7.8 billion yuan in realized investment attraction funds this year, but the data we verified from the corporate side shows the actual amount received is less than 100 million yuan. How do you explain this discrepancy? The camera zoomed in for a close-up of the man. His lips moved twice, but no sound came out. His eyes darted to the left side of the frame, as if looking for someone to rescue him, but no one responded. 3 seconds later, he spoke. This data, the criteria are different. What we counted was the amount in letters of intent. The reporter pressed further. The 77-fold difference between letters of intent and actual funds received isn't a matter of criteria. Isn't this data falsification? CCTV reporters had always been very direct, leaving no room for excuses. The man's expression froze completely. Lawyer Fong Yu attached a text message. This Zhang Guanghua is the director of the Yunmeng County Bureau of Commerce. The video was released yesterday and has been forwarded by CCTV News and People's Daily Online. Lu Ming watched the video from the beginning. Zhang Guanghua. He had seen this name on the leadership page of the county government's official website. He was the director of the Bureau of Commerce, in charge of investment attraction and foreign trade. From 7.8 billion to 100 million. This kind of thing wasn't rare at the county level. To complete investment attraction quotas, many places would lump in sign amounts, intended amounts, and framework agreement amounts. The numbers looked good and the reports were respectable, but as for whether the money actually arrived, no one looked too closely. But this time, they were caught by CCTV. Lawyer Fong Yu sent another message. With this news out, Yunmeng County's investment attraction work will face immense public pressure and accountability from higher authorities. Lu Ming didn't reply. A 7.8 billion yuan hole, with less than 100 million actually received. Given the current economic situation of the county, that hole was indeed a bit large. At this moment, the county party committee compound was a hive of activity. Being called out by CCTV was definitely a major event within the system. All the county's bureau directors sat in the meeting room, as quiet as cicadas in winter. After everyone was seated, the county party secretary walked in with heavy steps and set down his teacup with a loud thud, giving Zhang Guanghua, the director of the Bureau of Commerce, a fright. For a full 3 minutes, no one said a word. Finally, the secretary spoke. Old Zhang. Zhang Guanghua nodded repeatedly. Yes, I'm here. Explain to me how you calculated these 7.8 billion yuan. Secretary's son, it was calculated based on the framework amounts of the letters of intent. This is the standard criteria in the industry. And, as you know, the province requires a certain increase every year. So, Secretary's son squinted at Zhang Guanghua. This crime was forced upon you by the province? No, it's not. Zhang Guanghua hurriedly denied. Secretary, that's not what I meant. Secretary's son cut him off directly. Can the matter be resolved? This secretary's son was famous for only caring about results and not the process, and he was extremely protective of his official reputation and political standing. Zhang Guanghua certainly knew this. He gritted his teeth and said, Yes, it can be resolved. Secretary's son picked up his teacup, stood up, and said, 3 days. Give me a definite answer. After the meeting adjourned, Zhang Guanghua sat in his chair, his brow furrowed into a knot. 3 days? He couldn't get 7.8 billion even in 300 days. At that moment, Argard, the director of the Finance Bureau who was on good terms with him, walked over. Old Zhang, I'll give you a prescription that's guaranteed to cure your ailment. Zhang Guanghua's eyes immediately lit up. What prescription? Yunmeng Investment Company, Limited, Lu Ming.